It is time.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time. It's time.
It is time.
It's the Money Show.
The Money Show.
The Money Show. The Money Show.
The Money Show.
Makodem Mandibo. Let the conversation begin.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to the Money Show. Makodem Mandibo. Afam Chuka. I am Putagozo. I am Kaigani Rose Bozbo. Onye ọbụla n'ebe anụma just man ịbata ka ịkpa nkata and feel free to request the mic when we start the conversation. I na-akpa a very important conversation today. Nke a nke nnukwu. Anọ ifemesala anyị mesa nna anyị mesa nna nna anyị about our history and how far we have come. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation. And amam na onye ọbụla bịa ebe akwado anyway. So when it's time, just come in, feel free. It's for all, it's free for all. Long kata ka ịbịala ịkpa. Daalụnụ. Ka nkene my co-hosts. Priscilla, imere anya.
Adị m mma nna, ị na-anụ ihe m na-ekwu?
Ana m anụ ife na-ekwu na ntị echere ana m anụ ife na-ekwu.
Keke imel.
Ọ dị mma. Kedu ebe Adaora nọ? Ugoji, Ugochukwu, Ikechukwu, mana Crypt, Engineer Edoga, ekene m unu niile. Ndewonu.
Ekele ebe a. Ejunila emoji. Ndewonu biko no.
Maybe in a fashion like I can akpa egwu anya akpọsị gị egwu anyị ebido maka anyị na-ebido n'oge. Once it's 8 o'clock we start. Anyị na-eme Nigerian time so that ka anyị wee nwee ike maximize time anyị finish ye n'oge. Ọ ka anyị si eme ebe anụwa maka na ndị Igbo na-eme ife ọfụma. Ndị Igbo chọrọ ọganiru. Ndị Igbo na-ebidozi obodo. Ndị Igbo na-agba mbọ. Ndị Igbo na-eme ife mesi ife ike. Onye mere anyị ji wee nọrọ ebe anyị nọ now in spite of all that we have been through. That is why we are here today, and that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today. Priscilla, ngwanu, ka ife nwere ikwu? Kenel ndị be anyị.
Oh, no ndewo biko no. Aha m bụ Priscilla, your service culture evangelist, Adimo State, Yotalani. So, asị m ka m kelee unu niile nọ nga biko onwe ike na otu nọ nga Google ga-egwe nọ this opportunity ke space a n'ebe ọwụla ịmasị ndị be anyị nọ ka fa bịa bata ebe a ka anyị kwuo kụjasị okwu a mara otu oge si aga ganiru. It's not again, today is not going to be the last day, it's not the first, but ka anyị kwugodo okwu a every time ekwuru ihe ọbụla gbasara ndị Igbo gaa nụrụ 20 pounds ngwanụ kpọnụ ụmụ ndị ya dị unu ka abịa ka anyị kwuo okwu 20 pounds a ndewo unu.
Daluno. Once again, welcome to the Money Show. Money, M-O-N-I, Oborokwe Ego, M-O-N-I, is an acronym for Makodem Mandibo. It's a conversation for progressive Igbos, where we rub minds, share brilliant ideas, and find solutions to our collective challenges. If I be able to together, we need dozi obudai, we need push your mind together. I will make it Ganiruna, if I will email Rika. Ndị Igbo bara ụba, ndị Igbo dị very rich, ndị Igbo dị very blessed. Kama na if nwere some things na-miss in some places, I know that I will want to ties here the north. So I na-eme ife anụnwa every Saturday 8 p.m. If I put today, we'll make a 20 pounds effect, our 54-year economic journey. It's a very, very important conversation because Ometula in many ways, in fact, Ometula in more ways than we are willing and ready to acknowledge. Ometula beyond if I na ego governor, but abroad just ego. Man, ego I gave you to go do it. You know, on the 15th of January, 1970, that day remains one of the most remarkable days in the history of Ndibo, because that's the day that marks the end of the most brutal, disastrous conflict, one of them in the modern history, especially in Africa, a war that lasted for 30 months. Many lives were lost to bullets, bomb explosions, extreme starvation, and all sorts. Babies, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, uncles, aunties, granddads, grandmoms, some were even lost. But beyond that, once the war ended, the new trouble started. And once it started, and your face is that was where the main if I and I and how everybody was set set back by, I had to use the word £20 because many people bundi Igbo nwere ego na bank, no matter how much gbasara onye ọbụla ego na-enwe. As long as it's on the Biafra, mewe nke ndị Biafra, nwere onye ọgbasa, nwere onye chọrọ ịma, because that was the policy. It was a financial policy to set us back. So onye ji ego, onye ejiri ego, as long as you nwere ego na bank, you couldn't get more than £20. So imagine what that does to you as a human being. Meanwhile, £100,000, sorry, £100,000. Meanwhile, £10,000. Meanwhile, £5,000. Meanwhile, £100 if I give you £20. Now, about just £20, but the issue here, £20 is just a symbolism. The main issue here is that everybody had to start from ground zero. Everybody. Mandina they go na bank safe because people who were doing business lost their shops. People who had properties lost their properties and their assets. So onye obuna lose in different ways because agha nwere onye ọ na-enyere aka. Onye obuna lose bido n'isi. Now imagine this. Just just imagine this. Na ịpụta ka ibido life gị n'isi. Ị na-anya n'aka nni, onye fụ na ebido life ya n'isi. Ị na-anya n'aka ekpe, onye fụ na ebido life ya n'isi. Your auntie, your brother, your uncle, your father, your neighbor, your ex-classmates or your former classmates, onye ọbụla na-ebido life n'isi. So onwe ka isi nwee obere nsogbu, nwere onye ga-akpọtụrụ. You couldn't look to anybody, so you just have to find your way by yourself. Oyo in this age, on your own. Everybody was on their own. As in, when you think about it and think about how people coped, found their way out of that situation, it's a phenomenon on its own. It's a story worth telling. Because since then till now, we have come a long way. We have gone from surviving, because all survivor onye ọbụla batara, onye ọbụla chọba nke ya. Ma ndị gbagala obodo ndị ọzọ ebe enwe better opportunities, ma ndị jelo Jos, ma Kano, ma Kaduna, ma Sokoto, ma Lagos, Ibadan, even outside Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Togo, Guinea, ma outside Africa, onye ọbụla gbagala different places ebe ọ ga-enweta something, just to be able to make something out of their lives. Ndị nke nọkwa na ala Igbo, mewekwa nke fa na-eme na ala Igbo, ụfọdụ ba na civil service. Imagine somebody on a high level in a civil service had to drop because they lose go mileage, because when somebody one day this was like 30 months, your life being frozen for 30 months. That's what happened to Ndibo. Literally. And this is not just the only part. The other part was Ndinke. Anya they looked at all. The people that lost their minds. They couldn't cope with the pressure, the trauma. It was too much. The frustration was too much. Either they went mad or they got into substances or things that could just relieve them for a little, for a moment. Or became drunkards, or became drug addicts, or became other kinds of things. And they ball into things. This is the level of damage that this did to us. And yet, we came out of all this, made something out of our lives. In just 10 years, and we'll go millionaires already. Legitimate millionaires. In 20 years, now. Look at how far we've come since then. We have produced all kinds of great people. In spite of if and mother through, they were able to raise children that became some of the best brains in the world, representing Nigeria, making Nigeria proud all over the world. Just in for other countries, if I may go, other people, other group of people, if I may go, you can see a difference in us and them. Look at South Africans, look at African Americans, then if we this is the kind of journey that we have gone through in the last 54 years. Now look at where we are. But whether we have been able to sit down and count the cost of all that we have achieved, of how far we have come. I don't know whether we have been able to look at where we are now in terms both good and bad, negative and positive, and be able to see effects. How many people have done that consciously? But that's one of the things I have done on my personal journey, and I realized that there is so much that has happened, and it has effects on us indirectly and directly, individually and collectively. And kind of easily, I don't know who governor about this, but we are marginalized. That's just one part of it, but and with so many other ways, if I may go like affect. So this is my own introduction to this conversation, and I believe now what makes this thing very interesting is that even as much as we have one story, this story has components in millions of people in different parts of the world, including in the Nebaketa, with their own perspectives to this story. If you follow your uncles, man, if I how it affected your family, how it affected your dad, your grandfather, your mom, whoever that was in your family at that time. And then, but I'm talking about post-Civil War now, how it affected you and how you survived, how your father survived, how your parents survived, how your granddad, your aunties, or whoever survived. This is what the story is about. But we are not just going to do that. We are going to look at how far we've come and then how far we can go. So this is how I started. Let us hear your story. Whoever you are, wherever you are, ask for the mic. We'll give you the mic and you give us your perspectives. Can't hear her. Okay, let's just move quickly. Please request the mic. We'll give you the mic and you come in and you come into the conversation. Adidemili, what's your story? What's your perspective to this experience, to this 50 pounds effect, to this our journey?
Good evening, Kunye Media, Daluno. Good evening, everyone. Mgbede ọma ndị bai. Amakwa m na weekend anyị na-aga ọfụma. Ekene m onye ọbụla n'ebe a. Ọ na-abụ akọwa akụkọ ihe ndị bai gabiga. Ka na-agabiga, ọ bụ dị na ọ gabiga, ka na-agabiga. Akụkọ ya ọ na-agba anya mmiri, ọ na-adị obi mwute, especially ịnụ akụkọ gbasara ihe 20 pounds a. Ihe 20 pounds a, akụkọ ya ọ dị mwute because many people lost their investment ndị na-eme business. Agwara ọ bụgodu na inwe up to 1 million na account, asị na 20 pounds ka a ga-enye gị. So, mana one thing like in the buy bụ that ha ekwero ka 20 pounds are set her back. Ha bịa together. Most communities are bịa together. Wee tụka aka, wee nyere onwe ha aka, ha wee grow be. Ọ dịrị easy. Mmadụ ịnọ under 30 months lose ihe niile onwe wee bịa bidokwa ụwa n'isi. Ọ ya mee ụmụ ihe a bute ụmụ ihe ụgbabọ ya and all those things. Asị gị onye si gị na ndị Igbo anara agụ akwụkwọ, onye ahụ na-asị asị. Even before the war, anyị ka ndị ofe mmanụ wee nwee ndị gụrụ akwụkwọ n'ala Igbo na Nigeria niile. Ije date back on the by ndị Igbo bụ ihe no sọsọ 30 months aha anụrụ agha. Ọ dịzịa ka a lot of things bịa enwe distortion, maybe families na-achọzi ka a ga-esi bidozi. Enwezi ike asị onye a ngwa onye a jee gụọ akwụkwọ, onye a jee mụọ ahịa, onye a jee mee ya. So ọ dị ka abịazi nwetu like generation abịa nwee issue of education. Mana ọkwa unu mana till today we've covered that gap. Ihe ahụ with that education gap, ndị be anyị cover gị, ndị Igbo cover gị. A na-ekwu anything gbasara ịgụ akwụkwọ na Nigeria. Unu mana ndị be anyị bụ isi sekpọntị. So mgbe na-ekwu ka ihe niile a na-eme nya ihe 20 pounds a, generation na ndị our fathers a, they stood together. Have form onweghị different organization ha form to build up economy and Igbo. All back ma people's club, a lot of organization have nwee Igwebike, this Igwebike mantra ha ji wee na-aga. I for case welu airport Imo State, all through Igwebike, the old Imo State comprises of Abia State and Imo. All had to call ego. Onwebe ebe ụdị ihe a mee na Nigeria. Well, over airport with support of ndị Igbo nwere ego from other states. Support ha mee governor nọ mgbe ahụ mee Sam Mbakwe eme trust fund ndị mmadụ bịa mee donation alụọ airport. Ọganiru ọganiru generation a bụrụ for ọganiru ka a na-aga n'iru. And my father na-ada agwa m si na enwe ihe eme mgbe ahụ ka a nụchara agha wee sị wee lee 50 years agenda ka ha ga-esi build. O nwere ihe federal government melu ndị Igbo after the war till today. Ihe ọbụla ị na-afụ n'ala Igbo today, ọkwa ifu Ọnịcha, ọkwa ifu Owerri, ọkwa ifu Aba, ihe ọbụla unu na-afụ today bụ new buildings ndị be anyị lụ. All the buildings ndị colonial masters lụsị mgbe ahụ eji bọmbụ gbalichie oge agha. Ifu legacy ịna-anya, ifu legacy our fathers lay ebe ọ na, and I'm always proud of them. Asịgodu na o nwere na nke nwaanyị jiri eme ha attract for federal government, but mpụta na-agwa ndị mmadụ look at what they did without federal government. Mpụta na-agwa sị and I'm proud of them. Mpụtazi njụa ndị ọzọ ka ezi ihe generation anyị mee, ka elega ka anyị si ahazi onwe anyị, ka ihe anyị nwa, ka plans anyị nwa nwe for generation ọzọ na-abịa, ka ihe ha ga-emulate from us. A lot of things na-eme n'ala Igbo. Ihe anyị chọọ bụ ọganiru, and for economy ala Igbo to grow, we need to start. Ekwesị ka anyị bido invest be na buy. Ka anyị bido invest be na buy. Onwe ọnụmayo ndị Igbo in diaspora, onwe ka unu ya esinyelu ndị buy ndị nọ n'ụlọ aka, ma na ihe unu ya set up to create employment for ụmụ Igbo. Onwe nọ na-ekwu the other day na timeline wee sị na mana catfish na-ekwu na ịma anything poultry feed, anything ụmụ ihe azụ a na-azụcha n'unu, mana ọ na Ibadan ka ha na-abịa azụ ahịa nya nni ụmụ anụmanụ a, na onwere ebe a na-eme ihe n'ala Igbo. Afọ m ihe I doubted it, na-ajụ ụmụ onye ọzọ si m yes, na ya mee o ji agala ọnụ, and ya mee azụ ịta azụ ji agala ọnụ na East, maka so ebe ha na-eje ebute ahịa bụ na Ibadan. Mgbe si so ọ na ndị be anyị enwere ike set up something like this for easy ụmụ ihe abụcha bụ ihe generation anyị kwesị na-ene anya ma ihe a ga-eme, ihe a ga-invest agriculture and media. Ọkwa ife ihe ọbụla bụ media unu eji na-egwu na ndị ofe mmanụ na-eme mkpọtụ niile ha na-eme kịta bụ media. Ha ji media jidesie ya ike were na-ebu propaganda left and right. Ndị be anyị kwesị generation anyị invest be in media, set be up media bodies, and they set up invest in media ọbọkwa obere ihe. Ụmụ ego ndị ugwu na ndị ugwu ma ndị west, ndị ugwu kịta na ha ekunite n'ihe gbasara media, mana ọkwa ifu ndị west nwere ego ha na-apọmpụ into it. Ụmụ ihe a ka ndị be anyị ga na-ene anya. Ụmụ ihe a ka anyị ga-eji na-egro economy anyị, because number one, anyị ga-ele afịa n'Igbo. We are the ones to sell our market. Nwere onye side ọzọ na Nigeria ya enye sell our market for us. From my observation, enego m anya kịta, ọkwa ifu Nigeria na-afụ kịta diziaki ya restructure on its own. Nwere na restructure Nigeria now. Nigeria ji gradually na restructure on its own. People and the government Tinubu a ihe a Tinubu me ina-anya onye ọbụla na-enenyezi anya be ha. Onye ka nna ayo ndị Igbo niile for our economy to grow. Ani Igbo bụ ebe investment ga-anya. Inwe ihe ọbụla itinye ebe a, you will be getting it. Ana m ada agwa people, ọkwa ifu ebe a virgin land or tech, ihe ọbụla itinye ebe a, you will get it back. Because number one, ịchọ ndị ịgụ akwụkwọ anya ịpụta ị ga-afụ ndị gụrụ akwụkwọ n'ebe a na-achọ ọrụ, mana due na ụfọdụ ndị be anyị ama nchọ ka anyị na-achọ sọsọ fast return of investment, onye ọbụla agbalụ na-abịa Lagos, gbalụ na-eje Abuja, which now arụ ajụago most of them oyi because of ihe na-eme. If unu na-afụ ihe na-eme na Lagos, so biko for our economic growth biko after 50 our parents agbago mbọ nke ha ka generation a biko ka anyị lay foundation tech ọkwa ifu tech ọkwa ifu agriculture ọkwa ifu media. Yes, business dị mma mana unu mana the world is changing. Business, people can stay in their house and sell their brands. So in our business abọzi nke most of business kita abọzi ka apụ shop. Things are changing. You can be in your room and market your brand. So then education ka anyị ghara iji egwu egwu. Then a lot of our youths especially ndị nọ na need reorientation for our young people. Because mgbe ụfọdụ some of them when you talk with them ọ dịkwa ka ọ na-amarọ ọ dịghị ka ọ na ha amarọ ebe a na-aga. So we need to form amarom ka sensitization group. Ọ bụ na a ga-form sensitization group. We harness our young generation. Agwa ha okwu agwa ha na ebe future na-aga because things are changing. The world is changing. Obozi ka esi eme. Onye ka m na-agwa people a na-asị marginalization na the world is changing. There are different ways now people see create job for themselves. Government in Nigeria were many people, young Igbo people now remote job and all. Leave them. One day they will need you. So I need to marginalize the let's build our own home. And problem was on the government time when a southeast. Amara m ihe Governors Forum anyị na-eme. Amara m ihe Southeast Governors Forum na-eme. Biko just 2 minutes Okune. Biko I need politics. Let our people get into politics. Ka anyị nwepe people ga na-ekwu for us. Enwe ihe gbasalụ progress anyị Igbo na gas issue a na ha ekwu akọ agbago elu. Ị ọ na-enwero ndị Governors Forum. Onenwere Southeast Governors Forum ke ihe a na-eje eme na meeting. So daalụnụ. Economic growth anyị bụ on our hands ka ọ dị. Anyị nwa bụ young Igbo generation is on our hands. Daalụnụ Okunye.
Daalụ nne ada ide mmiri ka okwu ikwego maka na okwu ga maka. Nke bụ eziokwu bụ na ife anyị America ife anyị kwesịrị ime karịrị akarị ọ nke anyị ebido nke anyị ga-ebuzo wee mee nke ga-eso ibia and ka anyị esi wee tikọta ya ọnụ bụ ebe nya bụ okwu nọ ebe a ka dị ọlụ dọ anọ ife ma anyị ji akpalụ nkata anụ anyị na-akpa now because anyị agbagokwa n'ọsọ anụnwa individually for the last more than 54 years actually. Anyị agbago ọsọ individually. Onye ọbụla emego ife ọ ga-emenwu individually. And we have succeeded. We have actually we have achieved success that is enviable. In fact, that is the problem ndị iro ndị Igbo nwe kịta because anyị emego ife fefilo na anyị ga-emenwu in spite of all the blockages etinyesịrị everywhere ka ndị agha ala ịga n'iru anyị mekwa ife anyị na-eme move forward rụọ ife anyị na-arụ ya ka ibe abụ iji na-enezi anya fụ na a na-emebisizi ife anyị na-eme na mba ndị ọzọ because ọ dịgo obvious na ọ dị ka ndị agaghị take over upon ihe nyina anyị na ndị aka na-emove kwa mana ọ dịrọ enough if anyị na-eme individual is not enough. If I cannot do so, if I get men collectively, what can we do collectively? How do we even start? Because in our of me, phone came well and one now, I draw the can before. And before you look at bind on in an Igbo history, I know in two forms, or in two stages, or in two phases. Ufugo pre-Civil War, the other one will post-Civil War. In there, pre-Civil War. From 1900 till 1967, Odiche, so if I'm gonna do so well, how do we go back to our foundation? How do we go back to our foundation and find if I want the melo, where does you die? We will look from it. Then technology and science, even in my internet, even in well, if I cannot do so now, how do we work together to build this thing? This conversation is for everybody. This conversation is like a town hall meeting. I'm not around table. So request the mic. I need your mic. He will join in the conversation. I will because I'm the only one something to offer here. Abuchi, Gani Rubiko.
Nna, because before Abuchi ga ewelu mic, ị na-anụ ihe m na-ekwu nna?
Yeah.
Achọrọ m ikele nwanne m nwaanyị Adịde Mmiri na otu o si, gbajasa okwu a wee kwuo ya. Ị ga-afụ na o si ya n'obi. Ịghọta, o cheela ihe a too much. And ọ dị anya ruru ala. Adịde Mmiri, okwu ga ọ dị very deep. And ọ ga-adị m ka as not the possible when we keep cut after your side, wee gbasasị ya na groups ndị Igbo anyị, because you see ihe mere anyị wu ndị Igbo ọ dị too much and ha kwụsịbele till now. Ha ga na-ejizi ịgba mgba anyị as a tool against us. In some areas 20 pounds will ihe ọma to me, in my own opinion. And in most of the other areas ọ bụ icheta ihe mere eme. You understand? Ma kwado anyị nye anyị obi si ike si lekwe ihe ọwụlụ na-eme unu na-eme gbaa mbọ. Ọ dị so bad bụrụ na after ihe niile mere na agha Nigeria emeghị ya, did not follow their own path, did not develop it back. Ya wụrụzi anyị. You see, mgbe ọbụla m chetara na anyị rụrụ that Owerri airport, iti na-agbaka m isi. Then for the other part, ọ bịa mme ka anyị na-agba mbọ na-ahụ ka ihe na-ahazi. And that thing emele ka anyị nwee this very individualistic, high competitive, will I say high achievement nature. And I refuse to call it competitive because ndị Igbo anyị chọrọ ebe ọ bụla achọrọ na ọ na-eme ha ga-ebe ha ga-were ke ha with their full chest. So I don't think it's competitive. I say achievement nature. I'm very high achievement nature. I'm also na the IQ anyway. Mobo otu chukwu dike anyị, but him chọrọ ka anyị hụ from this angle bụ okwu collaboration na chuka ịbịa kwuo maka going forward. Ịgba mbọ na n'onwe gị ka akpọ gị edu China importer exporter 40 feet container. That time is past. I know now. Even though yes, I know a lot of association groups, Eagles People's Club, different kinds. In Ghana, various states, Gaiba Wolandibo, Iga who one association, Imo State Association of Iga Fuhana, various states, Hana Kwadonwe. But what I find is that Akurulo that was an amazing gift to some things. I think there should be intentionality with it. Akurulo mantra in here. Name now form these associations. And I got huma say there's more to be done. And more when I acquired very well. I waited from these various parts of the country. Because probably I went various investments. I say yes, it's already with her. Get maybe a business so that again when you go, okay, ken. Now man and ndugu make a business. But a guy phone you go be another state. Be a megini, be a runu yelu, or be a blocks of flats. Hamam hane meka. Nyo here and your him now wage fact. And meka. It's only for that business. And in fact, in how their settlement, they are ready. Here. Oh, Haron Gida Wanka Gida Bahaya, Rongani Hiona. That's it. Ogula. So Bikono, can you lay here? We are the future of tomorrow. The next generation they look up to. So I don't know. I went in Nonga Chibweza. I'm saying the next. I'm chuka me when house chorikuko. Can I hapu Chibweza kuku kuno? Ketinyono nukwa. Nandozo choriti nukuno. Tunyono nukwa. Can I take one because
Abuchi is the first. Abuchi is.
Okay. Abuchi Chibweza quick before. Ngwana Abuchi.
Ndaba okay na Asimo odroni azuma. Asị m ka onye shiri ya zero a sị na Igbo kwuru okwu sị na ezi oke eri ọgazi atọtụrụ ngịga. Okwu anyị na-enebara anya tata n'olu bekee nwesịrị the 20 pounds effect, our 54 years economic journey. That's n'olu bekee. Mgbe agha biri n'ahọ 1970, ndị ọchịchị Naịjirịa mba Naịjirịa jụrụ ịnarụ ndị Biafra pounds ha, ego nke ha. Ya mere ego niile dị na ụlọ ọba ego ha, ihe niile ha nwere, a sị na ife ọbụla ị nwere tupu ebe iwerie na a ga-agwa n'ihe iwerizi bụ 20 pounds. Wee bido nyewe onye ọbụla 20 pounds. A wee si ebe a wee werie wee gbawa mbọ. Ugbu a anyị na-asịzi kedu ihe ha mere n'ime ndụ anyị na ndụ azụmahịa anyị n'ahọ 54 gara aga. Nke bụ eziokwu na ya bụ ihe mere anyị nwa na ndị ọzọ amalekere ihe dị anyị n'ime dịka ndị Igbo. O nwere okwu ndị nna nna anyị ha kwuru mgbe gboo sị na onye kwe chi ya ekwe. Ihe a bụ otu njirimara na nkwenye ndị Igbo ji ebi ndụ ha. Na ọ bụrụ n'onu bekee asị where there is will, there is way. Ihe a bụ otu ihe mere gị ji wee dị iche dịka onye Igbo. Ụfọdụ na-aza ya n'afa si chi nwatakwe. Onye ọbụla bụ onye Igbo enwere ochi amanyere na-eso ndụ gị, na-ahazi ka na-agwa gị etu ndụ gị si aga, na-enye gị ntụzi na ndụ gị dịka onye nke iji wee bụrụ onye Igbo. O nwere ochi na-ahụ maka ndụ gị. Ọnya kpatara ji aba ya na aha si chi m so m, Chimamanda, ma aha ọbụla dụ na chi, hapụzie na ụka bịara tụgharịa ya ọbazie na ụdịrị ọzọ. Mana ihe omiso aha abara onye ọbụla bụ nke sokwu wee mee ọ bụrụ njirimara anyị dịka ndị Igbo. Ọzọ dịka nwanne bụ na o nwere nwanne anyị nwoke bịara nyochaa maka ihe gbasara ndị Igbo. O wee na-ekwu na nnyocha ya onyochapụta wee sị na enwere otu ihe atọ eji ama onye Igbo. Nke mbụ bụ ọgụgụ isi, nke abụọ bụ njebụ, nke atọ bụ agbammbọ. O wee bụrụ mmụkọ ọkụ ihe inye anyị 20 pounds gosipụtara ndị ọzọ n'onwe anyị bụ na ndị Igbo bụ ndị na-agba mbọ n'onwe ha. Ya bụ ihe bịa mee anyị bụrụ ndị na-agba mbọ n'onwe anyị. Ya bụ n'onwe anyị na-agbara onwe anyị mbọ, nke ndị sụrụ bekee ya asị individualistic drive. Nwanne ya nwoke dịka anyị na-akpa nkata, nwanne ya nwoke wee jụọ ajụjụ wee sị eziokwu na agbammbọ nke onwe anyị nyere anyị ezigbo aka. O mee onye ọbụla akwụrụ n'okwu ịbata na ezinụlọ nke ọ bụrụ na enwere mmadụ one ma onye ka akọta si na ọha nwawe ideji ụlọ na ezinụlọ, ịgakwa na ezinụlọ ndị ọzọ otu a anyị wee bụrụ agbụrụ kacha wee kpata ego na mba Naijiria na mba Afrịka. Ịghọta etu esi agụ akụnụba awụ na ịbata n'obodo, ịbata na ezinụlọ ndị a jie, ịbata ebe ndị a jie. Ọ bụrụ nke nọ ịbata n'ofu obodo, ọ bụrụ na ọsọsọ ofu onye bụ ideji ụlọ. Ịghọta ọ ndị Igbo ka ọ ga-abụ ego ụdịrị ya. O wee bụrụ na ya bụ ihe, ya bụ obimndụ, ya bụ 20 pounds e nyere anyị dịka mgbe a nụsara agha bịa mee ndụ anyị wee dị otu a na onye ọbụla gbapụrụ jee chọwa isi nke onwe, zọba isi nke onwe. O wee nyegidere anyị aka anyị wee rute ebe anyị nọ tata. Mana ụwa dịka ụbọchị na-agbụ ya ọkpa, ụwa na-eme mgbanwe. Ajụjụ wee bụrụ ike anyị tisiri, agbammbọ anyị tisiri n'onwe anyị n'otu kedu ka anyị ga-esi wee chịkọta ya ọnụ ka o wee bụrụ igwe dị ike, ka wee were ya na-arụ ọrụ n'igwe. Dịka nwanne anyị nwoke Chuka lụtara aka na bifo tupu anụ ọgụ anyị enwegori akụkọ gboo tupu agha Biafra abịa. N'oge ahụ ndị nna nna ha na-ebi ndụ ịdị n'otu nwanne, ha na-ebi ndụ anyakọta mmamịrị ọ na-agba ụfụfụ. O wee na-akọwa na iwefe na ọnọdụ a na ugbu a kwesịrị ka anyị jee na ndụ ahụ ndị nna nna anyị ruburu tupu a lụọ agha wee were ihe ole ma ole nyere ha aka ha wee nwee ike ịfụta onwe akụmụrụ wee maa ka anyị ga-esi wee tinye na agbara ọfụ a wee wekwa rụọ ọrụ n'ụzọ pụrụ iche na ọ ga-adabanye n'ihe agbara ọfụ anyị tata wetara. Ị na-anya ịfụ n'ọnọdụ ka onye nọ n'obi bụ ihe na-apịawasị anyị azụ n'akụkụ mba niile anyị lụrụ nwaanyị na Naịjirịa tata, nke bụ na ọ bụrụ na ihe na-eme nwanne gị ọ dịka anyị asị na nwanne gị n'ọsọsọ ya nọ ebe ahụ anwụ chọnake na ndị ọzọ abịaghịta iri anya ma ọ bụ mara ihe na-eme. Maka na enwere m nkwenye na ọ bụrụ na anyị na-ebi ndụ edukọ n'otu ụmụnna ịfụ na ife mee nwanne gị o metụtara ihe a na-ekwu n'okwu sị ofu aka lụta mma na ozu ọhụrụ. Ịfụ na ụmụ ihe dị etu a ka o ji edu mkpa na anyị ga-ebido tibu uche nebaba anya n'ụzọ anyị ga-esi wee ebube ndụ edukọ n'otu ụmụnne o wee nyere anyị aka iji wee kwudosie ike na ihe iche aka n'iru na-abịa. Maka na ọ ka nkụ anyị eziokwu na anyị nwere nkwenye akụkọ kọrọ ya na ọgụ Biafra nọrọ ahụ ịtọ, mana nke bụ eziokwu na ọgụ Biafra ka na-aga n'ihu wee ruo n'ụbọchị tata n'ụzọ dị iche iche. Ajụ ị ga-ajụ onwe gị ọ bụ ihe kpatara o ji abụ n'ụbọchị tata ị na-agbada ahụ igbo ịga ụzọ ole ma ole hụ ndị eke ya bụ ndị soja ihu ha akwụrụgasịa n'ụzọ. Ajụ ị ga na-enweta bụ ebee ka isi ebee ka ị na-aga. Na-asị ka onye na-ajụ ụdịrị ajụjụ a ebe anyị nọ n'ime otu obodo, ebe mgbe a na-ajụ ụdịrị ajụjụ a ebe ị nọ na mba jikọtara mba na bọda ebe njikọta mba na mba ọzọ etigasịa ndị eke n'ụzọ dị iche iche na mba anyị efunara na-anụ agha eme nzuzo n'obodo a. Onye nwere ọgụgụ isi anya ruru ala ga-ewu n'anya ịchọpụta na ezigbo nsogbu obodo ihe ekwe ka agwa gị agwa ọkweghọtara. So o wee bụrụ ya ya bụ na anyị na-anya iwutu obi a na m na-eweta okwu mara njide maka na enwe ụmụ batrị m fọrọ ntakịrị m merụtekwu aka ebe a. Anyị na-anya anyị afụ ka ọnọdụ si aga fụ na anyị kwesịrị ịgba mbọ ka anyị tinye anya n'ife a na-ekwu ka anyị dị ezigbo mkpa na anyị tiri anya na mbikọrịta nke ụmụnne. Ọkweghọta anyị mana enwe ndị ekwe na ndị ekwe n'etiti anyị, mana mgbe e nwere ndị ekwere unu karịa ndị ekwere ịfụ na anyị ga-enweta ihe anyị na-achọ. Ka m ghara ịbịa kwurie gawa 20 pounds enyere anyị ka anụchala ọgụ o nyere anyị aka n'ụzọ pụrụ iche, mana oge erugo oge anyị ga-esi wee mara ka anyị ga-esi wee jekwa wechiata ihe ndị nna nna anyị ha na-emebu tupu a nụọ ọgụ ahụ, mara ka anyị ga-esi wee tinye n'ọnọdụ anyị tata wee gaba n'iru. Ndị be anyị ogwu nọkọ ha n'ọnụ ka mgbado ya ebe ahịa aka bụ nwanne ụlọ nwoke Maazị Abụchi. Mgbe oge dịkwara m ga-adị eti ibe n'ọnụ nyagazie ebe anyị ekene m ụlọ.
Abuchi, daalụ nne okwu amaka. Thank you so much. Ọ na-asọ m ụsọ ma m fụ onye na-asụ nwa Igbo etu a. Almost everything you kwuru na in the last few minutes bụ n'Igbo ka ikwu ya. Ọ bụ na mmemme nwere ife ọ ga-adị egwu. Mmeje akpata ego sef. Mana ahụ nwayọọ anyị na-ege ndị otu gị ntị, ndị dịka gị anyị na-ege ndị dịka gị ntị anyị wee na-amụta. Mana ife ikwuru dị ezigbote mkpa, ife ikwuru ọ bara ezigbote uru. So daalụ nne. Biko onye ọbụla n'ebe a nụnwa nwere opportunity ikwu okwu. So ị chọọ ijoin n'ife anyị na-ekwu tinye ọnụ, request mic anyị nye gị mic ịbata ozugbo. Anyị na-emekwa live streaming now na Twitter, na YouTube. A ga-abanyekwa Facebook very soon ka ọ wee na-elu ndị na-anọrọ ebe a. So onwe ndị ma na-anọrọ na Twitter na gaa like ige ife anyị na-ekwu, gwafa na fa gaa na Kunie Media na YouTube gaa watch ife anyị na-eme ọ gee ife anyị na-eme. youtube.com/Kunie Media. Fa ya afụ ife anụ na-eme ebe a kịta, fa ga-anụ ife niile anyị na-ekwu. Gụnwa akwụkwọ okwu, fa ga-anụ ife ị na-ekwu. Ka anyị gaa n'iru. Kedu onye ọzọ na-ekwu now? Chibueze, biko gaa n'iru. Chibueze, are you here? Okay, ọ dị ka Chibueze adịrọ adịrọ on ngwa reformed biko gwa anyị ka isi wee fụ this our journey, this our 54-year economic journey ka o si wee maa anyị afet ka ndị mma si wee nweta onwe fa ka esi wee je nwe ije a wee lute ebe anyị nọ and ife ịmụtalụ na ya and ife fụ asị ife o megolo anyị the way it has affected us positively and negatively ka wee nwee ike maka anyị ga-esi wee gaa n'iru from where we are now because ọ nene ka isi wee je nke ijegoro wee marụzie ka ihe esi wee je nke ka ya eje ọ ife anyị na-enebara anya n'abalị a ngwa gaa n'iru reformed.
Okay, good evening. I hope na ga asụ Igbo ọfụma.
Go swa nke ọbụla ị asụ, ọ bụla ị ma asụ Igbo ọfụma, ịsụ mụ na asụkwa English Igbo.
Okay, come try ya. In my head, ekele m unu, my wonderful people. Adịrị onye iru m, adịrị onye azụ m. Yesterday I came for this. I didn't know how this in Gibraltar on my timeline. I was like, okay. I just read to put a reminder to the space because I go for the topic. I'm MONI, and I may not really say it looking at the topic very well. But here, man, when you couldn't believe Oduro easy. So mine is more like an encouragement. Oduro easy. And the guys on the ask Jiren Koji na Koji no them. Oduro easy. Now, here nyere na enyere ndị Igbo. Not just ndị Igbo niile. Just some few Igbo people to get that money. Like you said, about 54 years ago. Just 20 pounds. And now in Elanya is more like looking back. In that 45, 54 years abroad, Igbo knows everywhere. Name of in Mana Maya, Mana ndị na-agụ akwụkwọ. As in, I want to get general nega from the Igbo name of. For me, always thing of joy. And don't know when I has na alolo adro which is a reincarnation, but all na alo I can maso ka uro ni Igbo again because it become na gafa na ala ndị ofe mmanụ more like kesi akpọ anyway be ebe ahụ for like about 19 years. Even at the funny part, at the point, I learned money Yoruba, and so I'm a Hofuma, and I have no problem. I won't have any problem with them as a people. Don't have one and this other money, man.
It went up on the man.
Is that?
It went up on the man.
Yeah, because that's I understand what I. So it's not for me. It's not part of disrespect. Oh, yeah, you know. Oh, going to have an one. So no matter how you marry, Jimmy, we had Jimmy. So you can now get some part of hedge, Jimmy. Now, and I'm from Kasi in Mende Bang. Who can see a cook was Randy Ibu. Then after a while, okay, my wife phone Mbapu Lagos, Jewu Guausa, and Abuja Kana now, and Maran do go make work on it. Then Marandi Yoruba Mako. Then Ezoku di na ewu Adam Pratt is now one because all the spirit anyway. Me na sometimes he na wutan the ozo on the we always find a way out. That's one thing in demand in the like and by too much. The best way to describe on the Igbo we hear in the Bible. Okay, Jacob jere Isaac one name Maya for the first daughter Ochabrano. So Oroge to reach settle the guy. At the point, the man changed here. Let us assume I agree for 7 years. The man has also 7 years again. At the point, due to no Anuman has the man has here now going forward now the Anuman guy won't care like I won't do mark And as at that time, from history, a animal were multiple colors. They were either white or black or just plain. So Jacob was there. So knowing that this man wants to cheat him, then God, in one way or the other, whispered to him what to do. What God said, the question and the answer was, when these animals are meeting, I said, go and carve a wood, paint it multiple colors. When the male and the female goat or sheep or cow will be meeting, put it in their front. That whatever they see where they meet is what they are going to give birth to. And that was exactly what happened. And that was how Jacob Uchi somehow spoiled, quote unquote, his in-law stroke master. So iwuru onye Igbo na-agba mbọ nke ị na-eme jisie ya ike. Ka mgbakwa ya eziokwu, ha like-chara anya ọfụma. Mụọ na-ekwu ka o si dị. Like I said, alụrụ m onye Yoruba. Though no, she's late. Ebi m n'ogwu Hausa. Ịgwa gị eziokwu Chineke kere mma na gị na ha like-chara anya ọfụma. And the reason ha ji like anya ọfụma wụ because of our gods. Abụọla ọhụrụ ka ihe ha mere ihe ọjọọ anyị mere ha in that sense. They hate our gods. They wish they have it, but they cannot. Sometimes they wish can have but they cannot. So, and now 54 years after, I would have here that I would have survived it. Even those who stole from us those days, even those who took our properties, today, some of us have made so much money that we even bought the land and the properties back. That is how Kigeji Maronibo. So in rounding up, going forward, no matter go if one again reach out to the person, because also all again it. And look at our brother Mazin Namdekano, Ejik. Ye jikala jikwa ono onye Igbo. Owuro no nwere oke ihe m ga-asị na onye o mere ejijiri dị ya. Owuro onye Igbo ma ha mee. Because even the court nke Nigeria onwe ihe ha jiri ha hụrụ n'aka. So and onwe ihe a ga-eme that will stop us from being who we are. And then we all nobody an apology being Igbo. If there's a recognition, I believe that 80% of the people here will also want to be reconnected as Igbo people. So be proud of who you are. Keep pursuing your dreams and your goals. Carry your brothers and your sisters along. Show them the way. That is the only best way we can continue to show the light. God bless you all. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I so much appreciate that. Thank you so very much, my brother. Thank you.
Adekwara gị mma o. Chukwu gọzie gị, okwu ga-amaka nnọọ. Priscilla, ngwa gaa n'iru. Kedu onye bụ next person to speak? Okay, Chibueze gaa n'iru biko.
Biko nọ na n'ife m na-ekwu kịta.
Loud and clear. Gaa n'iru.
Ndị be anyị ekene m unu. Nke onye chi ya zelu. Mmadụ abụchi ikwulu okwu na mbụ. Gị na nwanne m nwoke na-azụ ofu afa. So ihe ziri ezi na ibu m ụzọ kwuo okwu maka mmadụ abụchi nwanne m nwoke sọrọ m asọ. Ndị be anyị, our journey ahọ 54 gara aga n'ihe gbasara akụ na ụba, ana ọ na-abụ nnesia ya anya abụ m onye na-like ihe gbasara history na-amasị m. So abụ m onye Enugu steeti. Ka o si amasị m trace ketere m ebe m si trace kete ebe m si ruo ma ọka igwe ebe a ka m kwụsara kịta. Mana ọ ka ihe gbasara history si amasị m. Because ndị Igbo na-atụ ilu si na onye na-ama ebe mmiri bido mmanwa ya, ọ ga-ama ebe mmiri ahụ ga-akwụsị ịma ya. Ihe mere anyị bụ very great something, and ọ dị ihe mwute na ndị amụ na agbụrụ kịta agbụrụ ọfụrụ a onweghị ihe ukwu mere anyị bụ na onweghịzi ka esi agwa fa ma kụziri fa na-ekwe ihe mere since ewepụrụ history na school ma history nwa dị na school ndị nke nwe opportunity ịgụ ya na school ha bịa nwere ashị wee kpojuo na history nwa awela agụ ọbụla akwụkwọ. So mana n'abalị a ihe anyị na-ekwu maka ya bụ ihe biko na-ewekwana iwe mma na-atụ itu oyibo na ọkwa ngiri Igbo so ihe mere anyị need to re-strategize because na mgbe anyị nụrụ agha Biafra na Nigeria 1967 to 70 1970 ruo ha ebuwelie agha ha ebuwelie okwe anyị akakwụrụ ebe anyị kwụ mana ihe mebụ na Chineke nke pụrụ ime ihe niile maka ochiwe zọ ndụ ya maka onweghị ihe 20 pounds bụ onweghị ihe ego ahụ bụ mana Chineke pụrụ ime ihe niile maka ọ na-abụ nnekwu ihe ọ na-agba m anya mmiri Chineke sọsọ Chineke maka anyị si survive ma ihe m na-agwa ndị Igbo bụ na anyị ga-alachite azụ. Bụ number one thing anyị ga-anachite azụ. Ihe mere anyị bụ na anyị megodere anyị eluzuo ntụkwasị obi.
Hello, Chibueze.
Yeah, can't hear.
Can you? Hey. Biko gaa n'iru.
Biko nụ asị m ihe mere anyị nke modern age a kacha njọ kịta bụ na eri oge anụchara anya emezila anyị na-atụkwasị ụzọ onwe anyị obi. We can no longer trust ourselves. He sow the seed of doubt n'ime onwe anyị bazie n'ime ahịa. Mgbe ndị nwatakịrị ndị na-agba mbọ n'ime ahịa buru ezigbo ibu ma n'ime Enugu ebe a mana ịba n'ime ahịa kịta ihe a na-enwezi bụ sales girl na sales boy enwezi ndị na-agba boy and ụfọdụ ga-asị nke aga na ụmụ ikorobịa n'ahịa ha dị somewhere. Ọ bụrụ eziokwu ihe a bụ something mere anyị systematically and something that is very worth studying ka anyị ghọta ebe anyị si wee misie ụzọ. So ekenere m ndị kpọkọtara this meeting. This is a great way to start. But to begin with, we will go back in history ka anyị chọpụta ebe mmiri a bido mawa anyị nke mmiri nke na-amagodo anyị in our economic development and advancement. Ha amakwa na anyị ga-eru like this, but here we are. Ada agbazi boy n'ime ahịa ka ihe kọsụrụ ya ka ihe butere ya. Some time ago, biko mma try to be fast. Some time ago, a na-enwezi some situation ndị ọga ahịa setụrụ ndị boy ya na-ezu ego ọga ihe etiri n'ime anyị ọ bụ it is not in our character. Ma anyị ga na-achịta azụ as a people hazie ya. So I have a few solutions. I needed to look through my Google Drive to download it and I'm lucky enough I saw it. So I wrote this thing about maybe 10 years ago. The first thing bụ na anyị ga-access ebe anyị kwụ kịta, which is what we are doing now. I got access ebe anyị kwụ kịta. Ebe anyị nọ kịta bụ na a lot of things. The pace at which we are growing before ahụzikwa pace anyị ji grow kịta. Ka anyị gbakwa n'onwe anyị eziokwu. Ka anyị si aga before abụrụzi ka anyị si aga kịta. Because I needed to adjust. Let's study what is going on. What part of which is that na trust is betrayed within ourselves. Ndị anyị ziri ozi ha lụzie ebe ahụ arọzi agụụ owuru. Ihe nyere anyị kwesịrị iji ozi anyị ziri ha echezi ozi anyị ziri na National Assembly na low state assembly na local government mancha niile from A to Z with exception of a few kpelima enweghị ga-ejide ebe ahụ na-anwụzi oyi oshi. So ihe a bụ a very bad evil ha tiri n'etiti anyị. We can't even select amongst ourselves someone to represent us competently. Or a very dangerous event. So ọhaneze ndị Igbo anyị, the first thing anyị ga-eme bụ taa kunye na ndị otu ya si chịkọba anyị ọnụ kịta. Anyị need ịchịkọba onwe anyị ọnụ ma ndị bi na mba ofesi ma ndị bi n'ime obodo ka enwee a congregation ka anyị kpọkọgodo onwe anyị ọnụ ka anyị gwa onwe anyị eziokwu. Okwu a na-asa anya ada anana biko ka anyị kpọkọ onwe anyị ọnụ. Number 2, ka anyị na-enye anya n'education. Ka anyị na-enye anya n'education. Ọnwa kịta abụrụzi ụwa na yes, medicine, law, all those things are good. Ma na-agazikwa IT kịta. Onye mediti nfu ihe Gaius na-eme mbụ Bitcoin chief. The thing na-enye m obi aṅụrị so much because ọ na-invest heavily na anyị and then ọ na-moves into IT. Ndị be anyị biko ka ọ bụrụ ofu onye ka iyi eme nwunye. If it is one person you can sponsor, I don't care where the person is from. You don't have to know the person. Just be sure that okay, yeah, one more sponsor this person. Ka ọ mụta on all these IT skills. Ọ ya nọ n'ime obodo ebe network dị. Wela alụlụ onye nọ na a company na Michigan ọrụ. A lot of people name here. Even for the buy in Jebel America self, how we about no no kavani to all this remote job. What I'm saying, unu never unna fear every day. So if people can teach our people, create an institution to teach our people. Bible say, through wealth shall the advancement of this God's kingdom come about. And so from wealth, we will advance ourselves. Vices will continue. The first thing on the list down, second thing, sorry, be education. The third thing on the list down, infrastructural development. Our infrastructure, Chineke has up guy. Ndị be anyị ji ma aka fa alụ anyị lụrụ airport mana kekwe n'ife m anyị ji wee kwụsị n'airport na ka a na-alụ railway na whole Nigeria niile alụ ọrụ ndị Lagos ife ya egbu electric train abịa lụọla ife eji egbu coal since how many years ago ya ka a na-alụ na East kịta ya ka alụrụ na Port Harcourt Aba ya ka achọkwa ịlụ gate n'Enugu. So ọ bụ na ya ene ha within ourselves bido kwuba okwu maka ya bido tụwa ego ọ bụ ma anyị ji aka ya alụ ya within ourselves ọ bụ na gọọmenti anyị all these southeastern governors they should stop this individual project they are doing and start looking at a region how to develop us as a region. Infrastructure ekwesịrị ịdị in sync. Ọ bụ abịa n'Enugu ewe airport n'Enugu eje na Abakaliki lụkwa airport ọzọ airport how many minutes away from nke Enugu aha eme onwe ihe na-agbanali ya kịta ihe a na-agbanali ya kịta anụwa bụ agriculture biko na ife na-ekwu.
Yes, I know ife na-ekwu
biko so the when I try it buggy because after a while your line just goes off.
Okay, ma eti
ndị iro na-enye nsogbu ndị iro ndị Igbo na-enye nsogbu gaa n'iru.
Ọ dịka Chibueze nọ na Bodilon.
Anọ m na Bodilon nwanne nwanyị. So ọzọ dịka ịbịa bụ na anyị etinye anya diversify ourselves our economic ecosystem ọ dị almost shrunk state by state. Ịbịa n'Enugu civil service onweghị short ka eji mara ndị Enugu biko na ọ ma achọ eme Enugu ya kwuonu so civil emechi akwụkwọ civil servant go like this Enugu anara ọdị chako. So biko ndị be anyị ka anyị tinye anya na infrastructural development, business diversification, agriculture, training, schools, institutionalizing these things. Anyị chidoku solo ndị ahụ bụ our House of Assembly members because imejide our representative je tukuru na-enye your people ọ bụghị ka anyị zigi ebe ahụ ịnalụ 160 million naira ka tukuru naanị were street light solar bịa tiga n'ime village ka anyị kwụọla gị aka ka gịnị mekwana. Anyị gaghị eche nke ahụ biko ka anyị na-anya na technological integration, taxation. Ịbịa n'Enugu thank God, ịbịa na Abia State thank God, ọ dị ka emepe na Anambra I think so. Digitalize almost everything that has to do with us. And in a jam like this, let's say a jam, the only problem, but most majority of them are probably handling computer for the first 3 months of their life. And how do you expect them to, pass? Those centers, a big jam, before system, was 10 minutes to go. So I need the infrastructural development, this disenfranchisement in the future. Or the speed, library, digital library. Umaka can have access to things they don't want us to have access to. Or the very, very short, all this I'm mentioning, the Kai Kwesi made it from yesterday. The next thing.
Chibueze, if I want to name your network, I know see your grab. I get your power again. You see how too much. Because you cannot as you okay, wiki in the other mic.
Biko na nchikota, can we build back trust amongst ourselves? And can we look at our younger ones coming? Because our default, generally, what our disservice that was done to us was our, how do I put it? So all the social cultural that I'm talking about this Gen Z. Every one of us were one of them at home. So we need to start a social cultural way of attracting them back. Because this is a long-term plan we are budgeting to do. biko ndị be anyị adịkwala unu na mma. Education, infrastructure, our history, diversification, we need it like yesterday. Daalụ na obiko.
Okwu gị maka okwu gị malụ mma rinne. Nwere ife na-asụ ụzọ ka mmadụ iwelu nnọọ ife oge ekwu hazie ya ọfụma ọfụma. Ya na mizi iche gị ife a chemie ya ọfụma. Amarọ m onye ịbụ mana ife ikwu ebe a gosiri na iso n'ife a na-eme, iso na ndị ga na-ekwu ife ndị Igbo ga-eme ma a na-akpa nkata because ị na-eche uche nnọọ in a special way. And ndị ka gị erika, so ọ ka anyị na-akpa nkata etu anyị na-akpa nkata, onye ọbụla na-etinye nke ọma, emegidezi ya nwe oge elu ifu na solution akalizi akali anya ma organize wee jebe. Ịghọtago? Ka anyị gaa n'iru. Sir Chris, ọ dị ka olugo gị ngwanụ.
Good evening, Nam. Biko ya owele gị ndị ọzọ nọkwa na space ebe m na-ekele onye ọbụla. Anọ m n'ụlọ ọrụ ebe m na-ekwu aja. Anọ m ọrụ abalị. So nwekwa ike ọ bụ na patient bata m ga-adrọpụ then batakwa ọzọ. Obiọma mere m otu m si na-ege ihe ndị ụfọdụ kwuru okwu si na-ekwu. O nwere onye si na ọ dịkwa ha izi, ọkwa eziokwu ọ dịghị izi. Akụkọ ọma akọọla mma several times and okwe ndị ma about it, you know. So ọ bụ na mmadụ gakwa to my timeline ga-ahụ ebe m dere how I survived the Biafran war, you know. Because nechite before the war started, Nam deal on timber, has a lot of farm, maybe that back Amorum, you know. Then came the war. Nabashi, Imo State, Ebansi. Mbo. Then I now one by one the mother now buffet eba. I have survival oga. Onyola la shikwe bush ribia. The team may affect my family severely. My grandfather wearing, I think, 5 houses in Port Harcourt and 3 in Lagos. In Lagos, he could only claim two. In Port Harcourt, only 3. And here, I just reached everything, then went back to the village to stay. He never came out again. I landed in the green tap precisely way back, you know, we lost it. Okay, you know, Mecharam, you know, the real one, pen room severely war. I couldn't start primary school at the age of 6 when other people were registering all over the country to start primary school. I lost almost 4.5 years, you know. But I'm happy I was able to measure up again and I am where I am today. I'm not suffering. One of my brother Kuruna Basaran Orlando Femman, yeah, because I grew up in Lagos also, I can speak Yoruba language. Yeah, I know one kind of way, but it's just the fun. There were 2 people in my life that made me what I am today. Yoruba. Without them, I wouldn't have been where I am today. They saw the potential in me and they encouraged me, and I am where I am today, and I'm grateful for that. So, chakwa onye Yoruba nine hate onye Igbo. But moving forward, more in Europe now. Now. Ihe a na-atagbu m n'obi, ihe awụ achọrọ m ebe m nọ ka anyị mepee a place a na-akpọ Center for the Promotion of Igbo Language and Culture in the Diaspora. And here I've been planning for it for a long time, and I think in a due course I ga materialize. Because ọ ga-enyere anyị aka ụmụ anyị na-amụ ebe a ka anyị na-akụziri ihe omenala ndị Igbo, asụsụ anyị, na otu ebe anyị siri bịa ka ha mata ya naanị dịkwasị na anyị na-akpọ ha ala Igbo akpụrụkwa ha yọkwa, but that is not enough. Nke ahụ number one. Number two kwa na-ahụ na ndị ụfọdụ n'ime anyị na-agbapụ na-aga obodo ndị ọzọ, ndị nọ n'obodo oyibo karịchara karị. Ndị ahụ nọkwa ebe a ga na-ejikọ akụtụ nwanne m ka ekwuchere kwuwe ka ele ma nwere otu anyị ga-esi yọghachi azụ. Otu ahụ Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe mbọ n'oji ike na ndị ụfọdụ jikwere gacha gụchakwa akwụkwọ yọghachi. Michael Okpara Abalị Ikeokwu aka na-ebia m ndị na-akpọ ha the magical triangle. This is all ha mere ala Igbo ihe ha wụ today. Onye Kano na Afikpo, onye Kano nọ n'Enugu, onye Kano nọ n'Ọnịcha, onye Kano nọ n'Owerri, and they were planning, and that is why we are ebe anyị nọ now. But ihe ahụ apụghị anyị n'ahụ. Ọ bụ na anyị nwere ike iwepụta obi weta ihe ahụ ọzọ, ọ bụrụ onye ọbụla ga-eme ya. Mmadụ abụọ nwere ike ịhọpụta onwe ha bido ya. Before you know it, other people are joining. But onwe ihe a na-akpọ report card. Nlechakwa ya ọnọdụ anya dịkwa ha bad. Naanị dịkwa otu ha na-echa akpasị anya agwa na Nigeria ahụ. Gile anya na Imo State educationally had it okay. Even business wise had it okay. Because when ebe m zụrụ ala ebe m na-eme farm, I have a farm there. Many people employed na almost 5 of them. When m zụrụ ala ahụ, it was almost 15 plots there. Ebe ahụ bush before, but now emepeguz ebe ahụ. A neighbor emepege a very big farm ebe ahụ kwa. Another person emepege a shoe factory there. So ala ahụ at that moment mgbe m zụrụ ya was under 500,000 naira. Now the worth is about 2 million naira per plot. So the development is coming there. Ọ bụ na agịga ebe ọzọkwa otu a ka ọ na-eme. I was in Alibo na January gara aga. I stayed in the village throughout. I never went out the village because akwa onye mere mmadụ ihe ka a ga-eme ya ihe. Nobody did anything to me. I stayed there. Msoro ụmụnna m mee ihe anyị na-akpọ mmiri. That is, at Oreo Day, we always hold meeting. I joined them and we were all good. Even then, which I'm video of it, I can even put it on timeline. Ohem na Jonyo wala biko, don't stay away too long. Visit home. Because obunagi, far away, then ebe ahụ nwere ike ịgbakọ and take a decision that will impact your life. And before you change it, it's going to take a long time for you to do. So ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m biko ka m hapụ gị jije Mike. Nganọkwara na-ekwu ọzọ mgbe o ji pụta m n'obi. Ekelele nụ. Nwanne m mepere space. Thank you very much. I appreciate. Ngwanụ, ka m yidie Mike.
Oh, daalụ so much. Oga Chris. Nke a ekwuru amaka. Ife ka nọrọ nso na ife ka ya ekwu erika na aghọtago m na ife so na ndị fọrọ ife melụ. Ịma na anyị n'ebe a, most of us n'ebe a, I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. Most of us n'ebe a bụ ụmụaka n'ebe nọ. Anyị anọrọ mgbe ife ndị a melụ mere. Ọ ka parents anyị fụsịgoro ife fafụ wee bidozie life ka anyị mụwazie anyị. But gụnwa fọrọ ife melụ, so ọ ga-asọ anyị ụsọ to hear some things from you. Kekọwatụla anyị ife fọrọ ndị mmadụ melụ when they were trying to survive. Even people like you too. If you can give us a little of your own story and ndị mmatụ around, ka anyị just nwetụ more first-hand reports and account of ife melụ ndị mmadụ, ife ka ndị mmadụ si wee banyekwanụ, because ihe anyị na-ekwu oge ọbụla ndị Igbo succeeded, ndị Igbo survived, ndị Igbo are doing well. But most of us amarọ exactly ife ndị mmadụ megasịrị in details. And the more of these stories we hear, the larger, the bigger, the more people understand who they are as ndị Igbo and what has produced what we have now what has brought us to where we are now. But more than that, our story should be out there. This is a phenomenal story. In fact, the truth is that I got some people, Bunde producers. Now, if I can see where fact, I will produce a documentary on this. Men the mad interview. My reference point, Ebeka Pagis where Mali Femelon Dibo. So and so time after the war. He can dare swear put aqua bet that Penny never found when we kid those because I doesn't come over there. He can dare swear those who would have it even in the Belofa web succeed. Ye Benekwan no. What would take off my carry Fendi Melo because all your Malofe, Malo twice where Malo Fendi came in the 50s and 60s. Or then you like, I could talk and dig after all, six when you did Malo Femelo again in 9 bidolo life after the war. So all the Mnukumpana, yeah, Bogota was waiting one or more. Please, this is the MONI show, and is Makaudim Mandibo. It's an acronym for Makaudim Mandibo. We are live streaming on YouTube and Facebook at the moment. In case you have people who are not on Twitter who want to join the show, you can tell them to find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Kunie Media, and on Facebook, Kunie Media Official. Because you actually so when you find you request the mic, I need a mic. Adora, you're welcome back. Ago, how the go again? Logo,
Also, Chuka, please let me just come in. Biko, thank you everybody that has tuned in. Okay, thank you so much. Biko, Nyelo Nayaka, retweet say the space, so that more people can come in and Nukwani High now call here because this space is not just for you and I, it's for everyone. Kandi Bonini Bata. Yeah, so party on Kweba. Chuka, good evening. Adora, I see you. Mary White. Chioma, Otogo Kwanfugi, my sister. Welcome. Anambra, first son. Welcome. Eze Chikwali. Nice to see you here. I always feel very happy when I'm in the midst of name like this. It gives me joy. And the topic today is a very, very good one. I don't have like my own personal story, but I have my dad's story because Bunde, immediately after the war, all how Bunde, they were like teenagers after the war. So he always told us the story of Etu, after the war, I think because they had to send him out to Ghana Karoba. I don't even know what a Karoba is, but on a Jack Karoba. Then after a while, made small money. Then got Lagos. Just got some money to go to Lagos. 1 year man at Lagos. Didn't go to Lagos with anything, but got there. Started struggling, hustling. Started with one room. Face me, I face you. Got married to my mom. Even we were giving birth to in a face me, I face you in Lagos. And then from there, moved to his own 3-bedroom flat, in Jibo, and then bought his own shop in Tedrosho, and also built his own house in Lagos. And this was somebody that came with nothing, just came to Lagos. I know now people now got Lagos and they're hustling and they're doing well. And he just went in and share struggle, share hard work. Ever since Mampai, by 5 a.m. wanted to go, out to go and hustle and everything. That was my memory of him growing up. So, and he has done so well for himself, for someone that, came to Lagos with absolutely nothing, trained all his children and everybody's doing fine and okay. So as when you were not here and you're listening, if our parents, despite all the odds, they were able to make it with nothing. Just like Chuka said, Oburo can hear 20 pounds, and hear some people and hear Oburo everybody. So and now for this 20 pounds, you feel like maybe everybody got 20 pounds. No, some people just had to, share sweats and everything. So as when you don't have any excuse, you have to hustle and you have to make it. And that's just it. I just wanted to, see my own small personal contribution, and I'll sit back now and keep listening. I think Chuka, you were about to introduce AA, right?
Yes, so I'm eventually, I want to see if we could take this to another level, or give it a little more direction. Can you feel that these are the factors that helped Igbo survive and thrive and build from ground zero to a buy Nokita? What do you think are some of the factors? When you're not getting your point, you can also add what you know, what you noticed, or what you observed, or what you heard, or what you read, to this part of the conversation when you grab the mic. We can request the mic if you want to speak. Thank you. Agoganiru.
Yeah, Chuka. Ndewo no. Ka m sụ asụ ndị ba unu anwụchule. So ndewo no. Nkata anyị na-akpa ihe gbasara ka ndị Igbo si wee kulikwa after mgbe alụchara agha, all the important, it's good na anyị discuss here. I think na the okwu dịka ọgbara ụzọ abụọ, ofu n'ime ya wụ ịghọtagodi ya wụ 20 pounds. Kedu ihe o meanere, kedu ihe kpatara ya, kekwe ndị enyere 20 pounds. Maka na mgbe ụfọdụ ana m anụ ọtụtụ ndị Igbo na-eche ka anyị nwa ndị young generation, even Nigerians, na-eche na mgbe agha biri na-ewere 20 pounds wee na-enye onye Igbo ọbụla makwa na every adult Igbo. Actually, some people, for na dịka or like social benefits, or like mgbe ịmago ex gratia payment enyere ndị Igbo. No, ọ bụ ihe ọzọ. Ọ ga-adị mma ka anyị discuss 20 pounds a na-ekwu, kedu ihe mere ya, kedu ihe ọwụ, kedu ihe kpatara ya. Ka ahụ one side, otu aka nke ọzọ awụrụ kedu ka anyị si wee enwe ike wee bidokwe gbakwa mbọ wee until wulikwe ndụ anyị wụrụ ihe anyị wụ n'ụbọchị nke taa. So ama m nke ga-aka m nke ajụrụ m ugbu a nke anyị ga-ebido discuss ọkwa how we manage to succeed, build back ka anyị discuss.
You can start, we can bido with nke ọzọ nke ife maka 20 pounds kọwa nke kọwa maka ọfụma na nke ọzọ.
Ihe m ji like ikwu ya maka na ana m ahụ mgbe ụfọdụ ụdị nzukọ a na discussion a mara mma maka mgbe ụfọdụ ndị be anyị na-ekwu ihe dị iche. So I nweta ha ụdị opportunity a. I'm a lawyer, mana imewe na passion. Another passion of my life is history, right? I research history a lot, and my so mgbe ụfọdụ I like to talk about these things, at least for the younger generation. Ka anyị nwike ghọta because I na-ekwu 20 pounds mgbe ụfọdụ people na. So what happened? Owu nọ ndị Igbo niile, onye kwuru last pụtara owu ndị Igbo niile ka e nyere 20 pounds, or just few people nwere a bank account. So let's see what happened. Ihe mere ya wụ mgbe a na-alụ. Okay, let's set the context before anyị ebido ndị na-eprint ego Nigeria mgbe ndị ọcha na-achị anyị wụ ihe a na-akpọ West African Currency Board. Ha nwa ndị na-eprint ego for all British colonies in West Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and so on. So they printed the colonial pounds I know they use from about 1910. Then in 1958, one line Okeke Ombadiwe moved a motion in the federal parliament for the establishment of Central Bank of Nigeria. So that was 1958. So then in July 1959, Central Bank of Nigeria was established. Then it started producing Nigerian pounds. Then in the Ocha were 1960. I went on why. Then in 1963, Nigeria became a republic. So you go and can't in 1959, they changed the color, but it's still the Nigerian pound, also called British pound. Yeah, Nigerian pound. Also the West African pound, then Nigerian pound 1959, then 1963 when we became a republic, then a redesign had the pounds. So I know they use from 1963 where so Biafra was declared on 30th of May 1967. So by Biafra declared in 1960, proclaimed the republic, one of the first things that faced Biafra was what currency to use. On a many young nation. In fact, all this is where Scotland achieved independence and when a referendum. One of the things that made that referendum to not to succeed was when the issue came up with what currency would they use. So it was one of the first things that faced Biafra. So Biafra decided to continue to use the Nigerian pounds. Okay. And then because we are practicing real federalism, and not many people knew that, even know today that Nigeria were a constitution that time. Each of the regions were their own constitution. In fact, I were a consulate. Eastern region were its own consulate in New York, in London, and all the regions, including Western region and the Northern region. So they decided to continue to use the Nigerian pounds and rely on getting cash through foreign exchange, converting our foreign exchange into Nigerian naira and using it to succeed. So as I go back, Biafra was declared on 30th of May. Then about 6th of June, Gowon appointed Awolowo Federal Commissioner for Finance, which is what we call Minister of Finance. That was 1967. Then the war now, Biafra continued using Nigerian pounds. So one of the first him and a war, the war militarily, but the major defeat was economic. So one of the first economic battle war or weapon dealt against Biafra was in December 1967. Awolowo advised the federal government to redesign the Nigerian pound. So once that was done, all the old Nigerian pounds that Biafra had in their hand became useless. So he did that. He put that policy in December of 68, and then the new pounds came into effect on January 22, 69. Sorry, 67, December 67. Then January 22, 68. Then Biafra was then forced to produce their own currency. So we then produced Biafran currency. Mana before then, remember, when the war happened, Ndi Igbo Nogasi, mana Lagos, mana Kano, mana all parts of Nigeria ran back to East. So they continued to use the Nigerian pound, as I said, and also the bank accounts. The Nigerian Bank, African Continental Bank, ACB Bank, and so on, they continued. So when in January 68, Biafra then did their own currency, had to do their own currency, then people started paying, continue to operate their Nigerian account and paying Biafran pounds into it. So they may operate naga. So I look at this, I basically 1970. Because I put 20 pounds and the man nature no immediately I got the cage. No. Mgbe agha busy January 1970, ndị Igbo alachiwezie ebe ha bibu ma ụfọdụ na-agakwa new places and na-achọ ibido ndụ ha. The question then became, ego ha nọ na bank, what would they do with it? How do they get it? So, and I said, okay, ụfọdụ ahụziri passbook ha n'ịma ụkwa na ha na-eme online banking na ga-echeta your account number. Then it had to be with passbook. If you didn't have your passbook, you cannot even withdraw. So the question I would say, ego ha nwere an account, how would they bring it out? Biafran currency is no longer legal tender, blah, 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 blah. So over months, it was an argument. Then Awolowo, who was still the finance minister, set up a committee, to discuss what will happen. It was then sometime in the middle of January, middle of 1970, he decided, Monday I carry a lot with him to happen Diego. So I put 20 pounds. People had gone back. One of the first ways that Igbo survived was people who had any valuables, they sold it. For instance, one of my uncles said he started his life with on vest, what we call singlet vest, 2 of it, packet on where he came to Owerri, a military garrison, and sold it to soldiers for a little less than £1, and then he used it to start trading. He will buy, anything that he saw, sweet, this, he come to the money market and sell it until he make them. Before he spent 2 weeks in Owerri, he had raised up to about £3. Then he used £1 to buy food and came back to the village, and then took another person. So that's how my own dad, for example, was he did electrician and radio mechanic. So he came to a military garrison in Okigwe and saw Onyene use radio, a soldier, and then he told him, I can actually fix it. And then he used knife and started working on the radio, and then said he needed some parts. The guy gave him money. He went somewhere, bought some parts, repaired the radio, and then the soldier got other persons to bring their own, and then he started, and that's how he raised money and started life. So before here, £20 Abia. So when the £20 policy then came up, so there were 3 categories of Igbos, right? In terms of, so India £20 with the banked population, not the whole Igbo. So now you know that in the current, I think about 30 or 40% of Nigerian population is banked in 2024. So you can think back 1967, 70. How many of Igbo population were a bank account? So you know that of the adults, they want to keep about 10 to 15%, right? And in these 15%, we are talking of people who managed to see their passbook. So some lost their passbook. We have also in Lagos. Some Jupania Lota, but they, people were running from village to village. And when Enugu failed, people ran to this village. So a lot of them even lost it even in Igbo land. So India the small population that had bank accounts, and then another smaller population out of that population that managed to see their passbook. So then they now realized that there were 3 categories of Igbos who had monies in bank accounts and people who saw their passbooks or bank documents. What were those who had money, pounds, in Nigerian accounts, as in Nigerian banks or Nigerian pounds, who did not operate it after Biafra was declared, i.e. they didn't commingle Biafran pounds with it. So it was just, it remained Nigerian pound. Those persons got their monies. But just a few, as I said, how many?
So if in the some people, Bundibo.
Yes, because this is
non-Nigerian, we family. Maybe 10,000 pounds or 5,000 pounds. They move for the thing to Biafran money. That how what alone can complete.
Yes, that is correct. But the question, Chuka, is how many? Remember, 98% of Igbos who had that kind of money ran back to the east and continued to operate. They were mostly when you get money like 1,000 or 2,000, we are maybe the top 7 servers, maybe Achebe, Quincy, Benedict Obumselu, Kennedy, Ninjoko, all of them joined the war efforts. So they operated, they commingled. So, but all of you, for example, if you listen to speech that John Onyangodo gave one time, he talked about how the war ended, how his father had money in Barclays, which they used to buy a car. So a few people, maybe like his father who was a politician and minister before then, but just a few. Again, remember, we're not just a few, but as long as you had your passbook. So a few of them got. But the majority who had then commingled Biafran pounds with their own, what Nigerian government decided was, regardless, in 1 million Biafran pounds, and then you put, even if it is £1 of, only 1 million Nigerian pound, and then you put in 1 Biafran pound into it, or regardless, they go long the most here will flat rate to £20. Or if you had the third category, people who had paid only Biafran pounds into their accounts. So these two classes got, regardless, meaning when 1 naira, when 2, whatever you had, you just had £20. Actually, a lot of people never went back for it. Someone, I have to refer to my father, who's still alive, he's 81 today. He didn't go back. He was angry because he said he had saved about 600 pounds of Nigerian pounds. Then he was trying to build a house and things like that. He never went back to bother to go and get the 20 pounds. A lot of people, so when we said this 20 pounds, people nature know it was a universal payment. No. Again, let me recap. Only the few who had bank accounts, who managed to see their because you can't show up to bank and say I have an account. They ask you where's your passport. And these were people who had 3-year war, who ran from Lagos, from Kano, and then came maybe when we failed, they ran away to Gaworo, a refugee. Then when the province failed, they ran again to that or many people lived in like 6 places. People were nearly itinerant. This city that had Bapugad, the other place. So only just a few. So that's where all the population went through the 20 pounds. So that I think it's important that our people put it in context and understand exactly what we mean by the 20 pounds policy. But I think I'm hogging the mic for too long. Can I pivot to the next?
Okay. Yes. The other part, the factors. If I can't joke, all the kage for the Adora, you're welcome back. I'm not me your network, but I'm happy to see you back. Call I think you want to follow from your own family. What you observed and what you were told. Kanden nagi or your uncles who were banye build war in spite of Manakwechiri spirit being a lawyer kind of family. And if you are in the audience and you want to talk, please request the mic and come and tell us. Come and tell us your own story. I have a story, but I actually can't remember time I draw for I didn't want to moderate. Adora, but actually from you. I'm not papa game with boys. Now Baria Azolia, so Papa Gezolafia. So there's a lot to glean from what you have to say. Can you?
Hello, Chika Wandemo. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Every single one of you guys. But your story. I am in because I need more of that history. My grandfather. The thing that do you want to go thankfully also landing with 20 pounds. I'm not very aware of Otuo's where rises here from that whole circumstance, but he will often brag growing up now. Oh, 20 pounds, 20 pounds. Can't you now forever? So he would always say that and pat him, give himself a big pat on the back. He was very proud of himself for how far Obia using just that obelega as at the time on with it. But even my grandmom got some money because Hasi Bini were one of my uncles, unfortunately, Okaboma Ababusi from what my grandmom had told us, and she just lost one of her sons. No boys all through. She had 7 boys. She was literally running with Umuazi say at the same time while her husband had 2 of them with her. But Imago Keki Esibolo Umuazi so mother doesn't ever know how that goes. In a this side, for the got the other side. So that unfortunate incident happened, and like AA is saying, mama so a lot of things they lost on the way. So on where the passbook, even my granddad didn't have his passbook, but somehow he was able to get that startup money, and otu aka ihe ha niile nọọsụ ya fuo ma ihe niile ha kpakọnatasi in Benin then because they were doing good. Onwere ka esi mugide mụọ ụmụ nwoke 7 when enwere some good livelihood, right? All of those things were just gone with the war, and I'll honestly make sure to ask my dad. Thank God my dad kadendo in his 70s now, but two papa rises here from that predicament, and all the stories he used to tell us then. How did it come together? So very nice space. Kuge Media, thank you so much for consistently bringing us together. Thank you. Very nice space, and I'm just going to keep listening. Can nobody from Mundi Ozo, what eventually happened? You know, how did we get here? How did we become who we are economically today? It's very fascinating to me. Thank you.
Darwin Dora. Darwin, I can work some questions in my juggy very soon, but can I pass your mic to Anambra person? Where Anambra person, look go. A quick question on this will happen in 1975 or 19. It's on this will happen.
As I was it now. As I want now, the Azikiwe, Anambra person.
Of course, not the first son now. Of course, not the first son.
Yo.
Ya bụ isiokwu anyị ji emere akụkọ the 20 pounds effect our 54 years economic journey. Nwanne anyị nwoke kwutechago ihe niile pat oge ọ na-ekwu na-egele egele ọba zuru erusa maka ihe niile anyị kwesịrị ikwu ekwu o tinyechaghị ya ọnụ.
Nwanne mmadụ dịcharakwa audible like that.
Uche, unu gị buru ibu, biko tinye unu gị na that phone ka anyị na-anụ ọfụma.
Ngwa chọrọ ka m nọgali ọnọdụ ka malụ ma anyị anụcha ihe na-ekwu.
Ka anyị na onu ndị nze anwa, onu ndị nze, ngwa.
Ọgwọ ọ na-anụ ya kịta.
Ọ gbagotago. Ngwa gaba n'iru.
Dịka ife na-ekwu, azụ na-ekwu na nwanne anyị nwoke kwutechago ihe niile ekwesịrị ikwu. Ebe niile o kwesịrị itinye ọnụ, etinyesighị ọnụ. Ife a okwu bụ ife mere eme maka na ọ na-abụ na anyị na-akwu ihe gbasara 20 pounds. Ọ bụrụ na ikirie ihe onyonyo afa m efuna, anụrụ m ebe nwanne anyị nwoke ka na-ayọ kwulu ya bụ ife, mana ka o si wee kwuo ya apụrụ ka o si wee mee maka na ụfọdụ na-eche na after the war, after everything, na akpọkọlọtala ndị Igbo kpọkọtakọ ọnụ wee nyewefa onye ọbụla enye onye ọbụla 20 pounds, onye ọbụla enye onye ọbụla 20 pounds. My father told me na mgbe ebidoro ya bụ ife akpọkọlọtalụ ndị niile nọ n'obodo maka na abịa n'obodo anyị mgbe ahụ ofu onye bụ ihe nwere bank account. Ọ kọwatara ihe gbasara changing of money from Biafra pounds to Nigerian pounds and the rest. Ọ kọwatara ife ndị a ọfụma. Ife a bụgasị polisi emere ka eji wee krepụrụ ndị be anyị. Ọkwa after the war, nke a abụrụkwa during the war, nke a bụ after the war. So na ndị be anyị enwetachago na ndị jigasị Biafran pounds asịkwa ka ha bịa chenji na Nigeria chenjige their currency. So ụdị ego sọrọ gị nwee maka na ma nna m gwa m na enwere ebe ha tinyesiri ego, ha buru ego fa wee tinye n'akpati wee lie n'ime anyị maka oge a na-agba ọsọ ahịa. So fa wee je bupụta ya bụ ego maka na nna m bụ onye kpatara ego riri, wee je bupụta ya bụ ego eje ma ndị ụmụnna na ndị nne ma ndị niile mmago si n'obodo enwero bankị mgbe anwa wee bupụtasi ego n'akpati ewere wee bunye onye n'obodo anyị ka o jee na bankị wee wetara anyị ego a na-echenji wee bataluo wee kpọọ ụmụnna ma kpọọ ndị ime kpọọ onye ọbụla nọ n'obodo wee gosi onye ọbụla 20 pounds enyere ya. Now amalụ m ka o si wee mee n'obodo ọzọ maka na mụnwa bụ onye akpụ nke dị na Anambra steeti. So mma asị gị na etu a ka o si wee mee na be m nya wee be nsi ka ọ ga-esi wee mekwa n'ebe nke ọzọ. So na ife gbasara 20 pounds a na-ekwukwa n'okwu ya abụrụ mmadụ niile bụ ihe ewetara ya. Sọsọ ndị nwetara ya bụ ndị nwere bank account. One ego ọsọlụ gị nwee na bankị anwa, one ego ọsọ gị nwee 50 pounds bụ ife ị ga-eweta. So achọrọ m ka ndị be anyị ghọta ya, ka anyị ghọta ya bụ ife maka na a na-ekwu na enyere onye ọbụla 20 pounds ọ dịka apụta because afụgo m theories. A lot of people are saying that now they calculate the 20 pounds of then and now if that no reach 100. A lot of stupid theories. So kai when I got ebe anyị si wee bido then enwekwara ebe ọzọ tinyere aka mụ laikiri ka o si wee tinye aka ya na ya maka na ọ bịa mgbe ka anyị si wee mee gịnị wee pụta anya bụ n'olu n'ọnwụ nke na olu n'ọnwụ ka ọ bụ ana m adị ekwu na after the war the biggest thing ya ife bụ ife karịrị ife melụ ndị be anyị bụ the economic policy of 1972 followed by the indigenization policy. Ndị be anyị jee gụọ ya bụ ife ọ bụrụ na ị gụọ indigenization policy then the subsequent policies emel after the war ọkwọ na-abụ mmadụ pụta na enwe ife dịka all over the world ịghọtago all over the world enwe ihe dịka agha ma ihe dị anya enwe humanitarian activities enwe policies to alleviate the sufferings of the masses mana nke a bụ na apụtara nya bụ agha ọ dịzie ka policies ndị Naijiria na-eme bụ nke ga-abụ a na-eme ya ka fa na-emegbute ndị be anyị everything ha na-eme was targeted to put us down starting from banning all the things ndị be anyị na-azụ because na apụtara ọ bụrụ na ị na-anya nwere vidio a na-esekuleti mgbe anwa Cyprian Ekwensu as top ranks as somebody like that in the society. Pụtalụ na-ele afịa na-ele kerife a na-afịa
no plastic bottles.
Plastic is exactly plastic bottles. Maka na gịnị achụpụrụ gofa n'ụlọ ọrụ niile ebe fa na-alụ ọtụtụ n'ime fa ekwerefa ha tiyata azụ some of them nọ mana Rivers mana Lagos mana Kaduna everywhere achụpụsịrị fa and they couldn't get back. They sent them into wilderness and that is the beginning of disenchantment of ndị Igbo when it comes to government. Ebe a ka ndị Igbo they disconnect from government because ihe ọbụla iwọchi ihe ọbụla nwere ife mbido ihe ọbụla a na-eme kịta bụ ihe ọbụla na-eme anyị na nwere ebe o si bido nke na ọ dịbụrụ mbụ ife ọ na-awapụta ndị Igbo asị gị we don't care about government anyị na-emere onwe anyị ife o nwere ebe o bido ọ because of that disconnect ndị be anyị wee baa n'ime ọfịa ma ndị ba oke n'ọfịa ngwere n'ụzọ ịmago na-achọ ife akọ ga-eri ebe a ka greed si wee bata ma 419 ma wayo nke ọbụla ọchara atabute all manner of things ebido na-abata so ife a bụ ife mere anyị achọrọ m ka ndị be anyị na-aghọta ụmụ ife ndị a ka ị na-aghọta dat na enwere ebe mmiri si wee baa oke ụgbọgụ maka na ọ bụrụ na ịmasị ya ịmalụ ka a ga-esi wee mee gịnị wee solve anya bụ problem. So the economic policy, the indigenization policy bụ ife tinyere anyị n'ụkpọkọ maka na ike dị ndị Igbo elu ọrụ. My father gwara m na ịbịa Ekulọbịa ọ bụrụ na ụmụ onye n'ebe ama Ekulọbịa ị marụ na Ekulọbịa dị very interior na ịbịa ihe dịka eke Ekulọbịa ma ọ bụ nke Igbo ukwu ma all those places dị na interior places ọ bụrụkwa Ọnịcha ọ bụrụkwa Owerri ọ bụrụkwa Aba na ihe afụ ndị ugwu maọbụ ndị mba ọzọ ga-abịa occupy gasịa shops places as a form of occupation because na ha emerigo then ndị be anyị apụta anyị na-akpọsa afịa na tebụl dị beside anyị na-akpọsa afịa na tebụl ebe a ka anyị kpọsa etu a ka anyị si emegide wee before you know it I gowe shop wee igowe shop before you know it how they all return back and what onye how now or how I they came to dominate and to take over but because of our resilience we were able to pick it small before you know it we replace them without any noise even that if I question so majority of the so-called kedu ife a na-akpọfa old money anyị ma today bidoro from that indigenization policy ebe ahụ ka ụfọdụ n'ime fasịlị ebidoro mewe na ha bụ old money. Kedu ife indigenization policy? Achọghị m igbu oge. Ọ bụrụ na ị nwere ịntanetị just google gụọ maka ya, gụọ ka o si wee dị. Ọ bụrụ na ịma maka ya then ịgbagote kọwaa ya, because ọ bụrụ na m kwuo ihe fe gbasara ya bụ ife ọ ga-egbu oge. So a sị ka m kwụsị ya ebe a. Enwere ife ọzọ then ntinye ọnụ. So ndị be anyị ekene m daalụ.
Thank you so much, Anambra First Son. Even though your audio quality was we were straining our ears to hear you.
It was indigenized.
Hopefully next time, because Okugin has also a lot of the time and always learn from you. So thank you so much for coming up. I see my sister Ure. Chuka, women, I got balance things here.
O tego na check ụmụ nwaanyị bata. Tango na ya afụgo ofu onye uru abatago. Chukwu alụka. Biko nwa nwaanyị ọzọ n'ebe a chọrọ ikwu okwu biko emeni ifele atụ n'ụjọ bịa gwa anyị ife ma nwere ife ome. Ọ bụrụ iwu na ị ga-ama ị ga-ekwu nke ndị ọzọ kwuo nke ịma. Tell your story. Gaa n'iru biko.
Yeah. So Ure, the mic is yours. One name.
Hello. Ndị Igbo mma. Good evening everybody. Ndewonu. Hello nwanne mmadụ. Otegokwa aka. So the thing here is that because only name just this one pass, come sworn so bekee so that I would flow as I want to because. So I feel that, right? Good evening to everybody in the house. I'm seeing a lot of great minds. I mean, we all are, right? Chimamanda was saying something one time and she said, if you're Nigerian, and me, I want to say if you're Igbo, and this is not a disrespect to anybody else. I just feel like if I were not Igbo, I probably would not know what to do with myself. This conversation, right, when we're having these kinds of conversations, it's always nice that we look at pre-Biafran situation in the Igbo culture. I think we probably may not be able to get to the root of these talks if we don't look at what we were before the war and what may have caused some of because Igbophobia has been a systemic thing. Igbophobia did not just start. Igbophobia has been there for a very long time. How did it come to a point where we started seeing those policies and started seeing those brazen attacks? Because I still remember, going back in time to watch some of the broadcasts by one of the greatest Igbo songs to have ever lived. It doesn't matter. At some point, the lions will tell their story. And whoever tries to vilify a person, it won't be long. As in for how long can you hide pregnancy? And today we're hearing prior to, the media is a very powerful thing, right? I started off after school in the media, and the media is a very powerful thing. And if you see how the media is controlled, back then on radio sometimes that's something that N6 and I share. They'll send us, memos in your mail saying don't say this when you get on air, don't allow your callers to say this, don't do this. So everything that you hear, and so we're very thankful for Twitter. We're very thankful for Twitter Spaces. So people are coming to have conversations undiluted and unscripted. So we're getting to get more information than the controlled gibberish that we've been, exposed to for a very long time. So pre-Biafran Igbo community is what we're supposed to look at. Everybody here, I've had many people come up and say, my grandfather used to be this, my grandfather used to. You would find out that many of these men were very rich. So on my maternal side, my mom is from Aruchukwu. My grandfather, Okereke. Anybody that knows Aruchukwu, my mother is from Amuvi. Okereke is one of the most popular names in that place. Okereke, Onyado, the Kardashian sisters, Onyado, and then maybe start talking about the Odis and all of that. Okereke and Onyado, these are very popular names in Amuvi. My grandfather was very rich, had houses scattered everywhere in Port Harcourt. In fact, till today, my aunties will still come into Port Harcourt and say, just drive us around, let's see, and they'll point to these places. One of those houses they were able to get back. And I remember how one of my uncles was attacked. It wasn't a person who took the house. It was the government who took the house, and the house became police barracks. That house was not the government. Government didn't own it, but government took it and made that place a police barracks. And my uncle had to go there one day, but it was the police people occupying the place. I'm not saying what I do. It's still in my family's control, my maternal family's control till now, till date, in Port Harcourt, right? So these men had such wealth built from nothing. And I like to also look at, people say the Igbo people are like the Jews. See, where you would draw us to several successful communities, human communities around the globe. I also want to look at us as Athenians as well. Look at, ancient Athens and how they built the massive wealth that they built. I started looking at them, a while back then in Uniport. And then I found that they had a harbor, right, where they did trade. Some of these communities, if you find out them, they didn't have everything that they needed. So they sprang up and became audacious, they were very brilliant. So they sprang up and became very audacious and moved to become self-sufficient. So the Jewish community is also like that. Athenians were also like that. They had a harbor, we didn't. But we had started doing exploits before that. In fact, the exploits recorded in the Igbo community was the result of the systemic Igbophobia that we saw back then that preceded the Biafran War. Because that's broadcast by, Odumegwu Ojukwu, when he said they have slaughtered 700 people, 800 people here. These were people's fathers, people's children, people's uncles, people that were killed. So when you hear, issues in the north, in northern Nigeria, where people are being killed, it didn't start now. These things had been happening before. And so you kept killing these people, attacking their businesses, blah, 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 and expecting that there will not be response. And the response was not even violent. The response was, okay, maybe if you don't want us to be a part of you, we probably should go, right? That was the response. We've never been a violent people. People who are, if you check Athens and then you check Spartans, the Athenians never really wanted, people who are doing very well and are usually not the first to look to destruction. The story of King Solomon and those the wise the two women, King Solomon and that wisdom that was exhibited by him. The one who owned the thing, the one who owned the property, did not outrightly say destroy it, right? Rather, that one said, you know what? I'd rather leave it to you because I understand the pain it takes to build. Now, that is what the Igbo spirit is like. And so you will never see us destroying or burning down things or saying, let's scatter, let's go and burn, let's go and fight. We don't do that. We're too busy making money. And I ask myself every time when I see some communities say, oh, there's Igbophobia here, we don't want them to come here, that this, that. I'm like, I don't think you have a good understanding of the conversation. Because if you do, you will notice that these people have no business we don't even look to politics. I think it was even in around 2022, 23 that the Igbo people started saying, oh, maybe political power is finally a way to look to. Because for the longest of time, systemically, we have been disenfranchised, as a lot of people have said here, right? So I want us to look at this thing from pre-Biafra War. We had already started doing exploits. My grandfather was one of those people as well. People were comfortable, people were doing great. These men had so much money. And then, when you look at somebody who has thrived that much in Nigeria back then, and you think that what you would do is to attack him and destroy his properties. I stay in Lagos. I'm talking, it's not unconnected to what's happening in Lagos today and the landmark issue. And you think that burning down his property is a way to destroy him. You must be a very foolish person to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. You will burn and burn and burn, and they will, as long as you don't kill the person will build it back. What is producing everything you see is inside. If you check even our ideologies, some of when they say Ilulu, all those things. If you look at our own and see the things that we say, you will understand where these people are coming from and the stuff that we are made of. So you hear people say, Miribiri, Azubiri. These are the kind of these are who the Igbo people are. We don't look to destroy. Let the water live, let the fish live, let the both of them prosper. So you see an Igbo man, when he stays in a community, over time, the community begins to prosper. It's not just him. He starts to build a road. In fact, at some point, I started to say, I will not pay estate security fee here again because you are using my diesel. And then I said, no, that's not who you are. That's not who you are. You are sent as a light. You are the salt of the world, just like the Bible says. So when you go to a place, there's that visibility of light that people are supposed to see. Don't dim that illumination because of foolishness of people around you. So everybody who is Igbo here today is supposed to be very proud. And people always say, oh, the Igbo people are loud. If Bible, if you have seen what we have seen, if you have heard the stories and tales our parents have told, you probably will not. What you call loud and attribute it to us is nothing to what it is that we have been. We've come so far, and it's still happening. It hasn't stopped. So we're not saying these things and saying, oh, when it used to happen, we're very proud of how far we've come. It is still happening. This is a continuous process. But guess what? The Nigerian state will see an audacity that they have never seen before. To see people spring up from nothing. And now that even reminds me, because at some point, if you check, after the Biafran Civil War, 1917, at some point, it looks like the only way that an Igbo person could be, just give me 1 minute, please, I can see your hand. The only way that an Igbo person could be accepted into the Nigerian state was to be less Igbo. And so you see people like Anambra First Son come boldly and say, Anambra First Son, I will come. This one will say, I am Honorable Adora. And then we started to say, Igbo Tiknelu, Adoweri, all these things. We started coming up to say, I am Igbo, I'm proud. If it cuts me, I will bleed Igbo. So things have changed. It's not the way that it used to be. Where people who want to dance Osadebe today, it's not the way it used to be before. Things have changed. All these tiny, subtle things you're doing will not change us. The audacity is strong. The voices are louder than ever. It will not change. Well done, everybody.
Hey, ure nwanne ya ikwuchapụla okwu ya ịgbapụta ihe niile nnọọ. Thank you so much for how you started this conversation and how you ended it. Onwere another day. Igbo today, you can chain me ihe niile, but onye a na-ekwu nwe ihe ọ na-eme. Notago, it's on the inside, it's on the within. So, unless me Igbo mu, because you may bury me. As long as I'm alive, I will rise again. I will sprout again on where are they. So thank you for how you came into this conversation. Beautiful.
Ada,
yes,
ihe tọrọ m na otu ure ji mee ihe a bụ na ọ sụrụ ya n'English so that ma ọ bụrụ na enwe ndị nro nọ nga chọbụ ige one or two things, they heard it very well. So nwanne m nwanyị ịgbalịrị n'aka so they can hear you very loud and clear. And again, it tajara the oku like this, tajara like this, jiria luapo with ofo her straight. And the thing that Tom is boto, and I'm very happy for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. I'm not sure. Onye kwesịrị ịga next. Kunye media.
Chika Uche. Okay, I like this emotic Nelo. This inspiration came from last Saturday. Okay? I like it so much.
No, it was there before that last Saturday.
I saw it though. I said, emotic Nelo Nana Asuibo.
Christina, I won't take it from you. I won't take
it. No, the thing Toromoto. See, when you manifest things, you understand. It happens to you, and sometimes there's a lot of power in the name. And anyone wouldn't I got that there is power in the name. I did some kind of deep names. If they translate those names for you, you will be quiet for like 5 seconds. You'll be like, wait, this person. Do you understand? So we understand one or two of these kind of names, and I like the fact that Ibotik Nelo Apollo. Before you call your Ibotik, you call your Ibotik first, because you cannot shame the shameless, and I love it for her. One and one. In fact, I wish I can put myself Ibotik service culture evangelist so that Onyobula even in
we can talk more on your Zioma.
Hey, let's go. I actually could one and because you have the mic.
Okay, I am so happy to be here. I think this is the first time I'm joining a platform like this where Basarandi Igbo is being discussed. And Romajojo Ejuro Kunye Media in Najo, how did the Igbo people survive after the Civil War? Okay, come with a story about my own father. This Igbo ideology of Onyaga na Nwanne ya and Igwe Bike, these are the two philosophies and principles nyere ndị Igbo aka to survive and has been the bedrock of Igbo survival and prosperity even till today, and it will remain like that till tomorrow. After the war, my father was still a young schoolboy. He had just finished his SAT then. So Osoro, his uncle just took him to Sapele. He rute na Sapele, the uncle bido Zuba chemist shop. So ebe ahụ ka ọ nọ gbara his uncle odibo, bido his own chemist shop. Sizi ebe ahụ gaa Calabar, gaa na the Polytechnic Calabar. There ka ọ nọrọ gụọ electricity, what we can call today electrical electronics or electrical engineering. So he studied electricity, then came back to Asaba. Bidokwa na azụkwa ahịa ọgwụ ahụ na Asaba before he finally came back to Imo State, Mbise, where he became a teacher and died as a teacher. So the sense there is that had it been that Anyanwa bụ ndị Igbo enweghị that understanding of Onyagala nwanne ya, I am very sure that by now Anya survivable the effect of the war and everything that happened by that time. And I think that is what the people that are attacking us today, they do not understand, or some of them that understands it wants to break that ideology in us. That is why emegide ha sege na ndị Igbo adịghị n'otu, na ndị Igbo kwesịrị ịbịa dịrị n'otu. A na-ekwu ihe ahụ anywhere I'm not, I don't really understand it, because enweghị, even in a family unit, ị na-agaghị ahụ no one dissenting voice. And for the fact that you heard one dissenting voice does not prove the fact that enwere disunity. So anytime enoro ndị Igbo adịghị n'otu, it is just a subtle way of breaking the bonds the Igbo people have been able to build over the time and in ages past. So I will say that this philosophy, the idea of Onyagala nwanne ya and Igwebike is something that we should so much cherish. And I believe that every true Igbo son and daughter, when that spirit in him or her. Typical example, like oge m bịara ebe m bi ọfụrụ, I was coming out from the library. So I saw a lady. I didn't know whatever made me to boya nne, good afternoon. I don't know. If anybody asks me what moved you to say nne, good afternoon, I don't know, because that person could also be a Zimbabwean, that person could also be somebody from another African country. But immediately I said that, this person responded to me, you know. There we became very close friends, and definitely she helped me a lot to navigate my way, because I had just arrived newly, and there and then it dawned on me that true, there is this bond that holds every Igbo person together, and this is actually the bond these people that will always deride us wants to break. So my take this night, from how we survived through supporting each other and the metamorphose to this Ebambo and Ezuahia Nwaboye and every other thing today, yesterday and today, comes to what I would tell every one of us, that don't allow anybody to make you feel less of yourself. Don't allow anybody to pitch you against your own. I want to name the like Yandi Bobona. We disagree on principles, not on pure hate. Mobili Huroni Igbo say, I don't want this. Le macha ihe anya ha will based on principle. O ihe jiri dị iche na ndị ọzọ anyị na ha nọ n'obodo Nigeria. So ụmụnne m, ekenekwa m unu ọzọ ka anyị jide nke anyị ji, n'ihi na asị na onye asịrị ya jide nke oji dị mma. Ndewonu.
Thank you so much. Okuge Amaka. Imogi bido nyebe your submission, I really thought about that same thing imecha land there, that point imecha land there about otu esi, gradually na achọkwa break our mindset, our unity. Otago eji nwa na pull up rhetorics like, ndị Igbo like onwefa. It's a big lie. Ndị Igbo like onwefa. How come we have nwa boy system? How come we have this our famous saying Sonya rapuna one year?
That is to tell you now. Now here about what reverse psychology actually put in the mind of every Igbo person to break the bonds.
But Adora, most times so kwanya you have ndị Igbo na dey kukeme that thing.
Because if ife agwagola anyị na ịmago agwagide gị nwanne gị mezie gị nwobele ife say one ma like rum. It's not true. But I'm glad we are onto it and we are pulling it down. Continue, my sister.
Yeah. And by the way, okay. I have scores to settle with Priscilla because Priscilla I was busy. Priscilla
Hey, Chineke my sister, Igbo Chikinelo after you now.
All right.
No, Ima, you don't know how happy I am. When from this Igbo Chikinelo, the thing at dumb pieces. As in the thing at Thomas, chai. This is what they call owning your narrative. Otwana Igbo Chikia or insult. When you're Latin Igbo Chikin here now sequence English. Before you know, over a few months, according at least who the white sister Nonga knows about narrative. Over a few months now, that's Igbo Chikin now insult. That guy was by insult. That was an identity. But in my own opinion, historians. So I think that Onyo Black Runegisi, please, I am Ibotik. Ibotik Abrosi, yes, most of them Nachin Mayor as if he's illiterate. Sindina Sosandina Zwahia. Mana Ibotik, your identity. I am as Ibotik as they come. And Mobroni don't like it where there's a transformer and Nakuloge. He got left, got first select church, he got home transformer and got you understand? Because I am Ibotik and there's nothing you can do about it. But I like the father Nelo. And Nelo no America na Ibotik. I was I want on Nakuko Bomosho or Ndikeno. I mean, let's just do our best, really. I love it. So my sister, I will keep doing my mouth boutique with my full chest.
Because I want to add one more. I want to add Chukwuemeka or Chikauche, sorry. Chikauche, Okuge Malomman, no, Okuge Malomma, equal maka 2 points is a very important book principles in the book. One about Ugobike, that is the power and the strength of the collective. The other one about how can I forget it just suddenly? You can't even survive alone. Like you can't survive alone. You have to find it because you survive together. It's easier. Make a circle. Okay, face at the same time. That's what it signifies. In case somebody could hear at some point, we use a different proverb where I think somewhere or the call or some azodendo. It sounded very good. I wanted to ask her to wait, but
Billy and
something else, Billy. Yes, it also means Ewe Bello, Ugo Bello. In case you be Eben, what it means is the earth is too wide for two birds to collide. You can make it, I can make it. That is our principle. We don't believe we can compete and survive. This is the reason why Ebobun Efundi Igbo na Azwafia. Onye Igbo bido afia na aga ofuma. Onye Igbo ozo Chibueze mepe shop na akụkụ ya. Amechi mepe the third shop. Nnamdi mepe the fourth one. One day you buy for like 25 different shops. Nearly the same thing. They make sense to them, but that is power. They are building an ecosystem. And with too many options here, then Union decide the price, and they begin to control the pricing of the markets. This is one of the principles I just what man. I can't put too much maka ade mama obu when the na-ache muta if I never. Okay.
See, they can copy, but if you
I'm
don't
just
have
kidding.
the source, even
I'm
if
just
the source, where are the source?
I'm just kidding. Can you mara ka nsi akwafaga mana afaga o maka n'anya alo efuna ka anya alo efuna Mike okwu kwusizi ya ka agụ ya asakwa ife anụ anyị jụrụ gị mana alo efuna ka m njụọ this question in case ọ bụrụ na ị chọrọ ịma gị respond to it. Ka ife feel know the factors, the fact nchọ use that word or we keep point here out factors bụ ife anyị desigara aka wee nyere anyị aka wee survive for thrive for this year successful and great as ndị Igbo. O nwere ife ndị I get pick that we can learn from. I megasil. It didn't happen randomly. Like Ure said, we were already successful before this happened. So we went back to what we had before. Something was activated. That Kwechiri spirit was activated. We went back to what we had before, then added resilience to it, added other things to it. But I think I point here out some of those things in Lanyaka, Imel. Ngwaganiru.
Yes, Ura na-ekwu okwu.
Alo efuna biko gaa n'iru.
Okay. Okay.
Biko when iwe kpọgodi m afa gị ka anyị nụ afa gị anụ ka anyị malụ ka esi akpọ maka oge ọzọ.
Mbọ alo efuna chukwu nọ nso.
Even the meaning, the meaning.
Ọ na-ekwu mkpu echina alọ abụ m onye Agụleri na by onwe symbol of authority and staff ndị okenye na-eji onwe ndị na-akpụ ya oji ebe a na-akpụ ya n'asụsụ ndị be anyị bụ alọ. So what it means is my what do you call it, authority ọnụ Igbo mkpu echina bụ the ama mmụọ ndị na-aza mkpu echina ọmụ ndị ghọta ibe mmiri bụ mkpu echina na ebe a kwa afọ
like ọfọ. Okay. Legacy, okay.
Something like that. So anyanwa ka ọ meaning. Na ka nsụkwa n'oyibo ka ọ wee kwọ mmadụ ncha niile na ebe a ghọta maka ịma onu ndị nke ndị be anyị nsogbu onu ndị be anyị onwe ike onwe ndị ama ghọta ibe na-ekwu ọfụma. So
we can mix here up. We can mix here up. It's one kai, so one cause more reform. Kai we na muti Igbo. Yotago.
Okay, na nghọta nke m efile m na ọ dị ife na-atọ nyelu ndị Igbo aka iji wee survive after the Civil War. Nke mbụ bụ nghọta na anyụkọ ọnwa amịla ọnụ ọgbọ ụfụfụ. Nke abụọ bụ na akụlo nọ amala onye kpatala ya. Nke ịtọ bịa bụlụ onulube nwanne agba n'ọsọ. Ife ita nyere anyị akarị nne. Nke mbụ bụ anyụkọ ọma amịla ọnụ ọgbọ ụfụfụ bụ na mgbe a nụsị ọgụ ndị be anyị na-agba mbọ tupu anụ ọgụ, mana ka anụsị ọgụ onye ọbụla pụọ ịgba mbọ ka o nwee ebe o bido aka emechaa almost na everybody gba aka. Now ka apụ ịgba mbọ a nke onye kpata ọtra ya nwee nke o wenata n'ụlọ ejikọ aka ọnụ. That was the origin of unity schools. Ichekie n'akụkụ Nigeria niile ọ na-ana Igbo ka unity schools bido. Unity schools are people that left after the war knowing that their region, their home and everything they have is already devastated and lost. They left in search of greener pastures. And when you get there, anybody that you see that is your brother, you bring the person close, make the person part of you. The people grow together. And along the line, they started bringing forth what they have back home to ensure that schools are built, that there are several other social amenities that are lacking, that they are put in place. So, eba kamuwa firi no kachanyela anya aka. Usokwu n'ibe kpata na ịbịa o nwere ọtụtụ obodo dị iche iche kịta ya sị na eji afịa dị otu anụ wee malụ onye pụọ nke o nweta ofili na ọ na-aga ọkpọta nwanne ya nyere ya aka na-eme ya onye a na-aga n'iru ibi a na-aga n'iru nke ewekọtara ọnụ akpakọ mitin ndị obodo Nkwo Development Union, Aguleri Development Union, Okozu Development Union. All after the war, these unions below, those unions were not cheated by Bialoba Unity Schools, Bialoba Town Halls, Bialoba some roads. Opo nava awakora ako no na wenati valo no. Echekwa m na ọkala efi anya arụrụ nne ịgbagote ọna isi wee gbagote kịta. Inene anya just inaya n'obodo gị icheki efo na primary school one dị ebe anwa. Most of them kita na-azazi unity schools under federal government. Most of them were community primary schools and community secondary schools that were built after the war. So I think that these are the things that help us a lot in overcoming. Also dịka nwanne ya bụrụ na ndị Igbo kwetara na aka aja aja na-ebute ọnụ mmanụ. Mgbe a nụsị ọgụ, onye dịka Cyprian Ekwensi bụ a senior civil servant ama tupu anụ agha na chelu rọba. On my video na YouTube one certain time, sometime 2 years ago. I was watching it and I was shedding tears. You get it? And he was being interviewed and he was saying it proudly that he's proud of selling those things he's selling. And along the line, things changed again and he regained himself. And that was the story of most of them. My grandfather was telling us a story some time ago before he left to the great beyond sometime 2 years ago. And he was telling us how one of his friends that was staying in Kano, how they came back home after the war. Everything was devastated. He lost everything. Then he had to join people that are those Royal Niger Company people that were still operating after the war. That he was like, they smuggled him to Lagos. Oyanwoke na alo ebe a solo nyeli aka obanye n'ebe a na parking ngwungwo na aka osi na Lagos wee jebido n'isi. And he's one of the great people ndị bi benso anyị ma na ba anyị mgbe anyị nwa na-etote ka ụmụaka. Most of them are for ya no shameful something. Most of them see it that yes, the war has come and gone and everything we have has been cleared. So we have to go back to the field and start working again. And if I can kita, most of our young people kita, majority of them are choosing lolo, on the choi molo, on the choi waboy, on most of them. But also when you that ideology now kweta na aka aja aja na-ebute ọnụ mmanụ. So if it can feel nyela anya aka nne mee na anyị ji wee recover and move faster after the war. Nke mbụ bụ na anyụkọ ọnwa amịlị ọnụ ọgbọ ofu unity is strength. Nke abụọ bụ na akụluo ụlọ amala onye kpalịa. Nke ịtọ bụ na aka aja aja na-ebute ọnụ mmanụ. So if it can feel na nghọta nke m nyela anya aka nne. Daalụ nọ ndị be anyị.
Hi, daalụ nne.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Adora Ganyirubuka.
Thank you so much. Hello. Hey man, I say hello bye. Na na che ma mun kana ma tare yen me ku. Ma good, na ka mun tinne na ebe out you.
Kisi ekwu this kisi atọ na afa ndị mmadụ. Ọ na-asọ ọ dị ka last week ịkpọ ikpo from ikpo nse. Nkịta bụ alụ.
Ama mi kpọ gị bịa nga taa.
I don't know. Can ikpo nse nọ sef? I've been looking for him. Biko ọ bụ na ị nọ nso biko bịa na line mic. And ọ bụ na ụmụ nwaanyị n'ebe a biko bịa na line mic. Anyị chọrọ ka anyị n'onu ụmụ nwaanyị mmụọ. Ifụlụ onye nke bịara with fire. Hey! As in ja. Ụdị nke odumeje na flavor ha but nke a wụ original. So I chọrọ more of that.
I got the fire.
Mara, Ure, my girl. Well done.
Uru bịa werekwa mic ọzọ ma ọ bụ.
I bụkwago anyị na-ekele Icon Ụzọ.
Yeah,
Si m
so afọ m
ekelekwa
icon nnọọ.
Mary
Icon
White.
ịgbagote.
Daalụ sọ.
Okay, ka anyị chịa n'azụ na agụ na Sir because anyị ga-ebidokwa round ba up. So ebe onye ọbụla batala ebe a now, anyị ga-enye gị short time. So ị ga-egbu ya na nkenke. Just ịmago chịkọnata okwu gị ozugbo maka time agago anya nọgo 2 hours plus already. Ọ ka ụdị ife a na-adị kwugide ịma na time na-aga. So agụ ọkwa gị ga-ekwu na ngwa gaa n'iru letakwa ife na-ajụ kedu factors nyere anyị aka ịgbagota so quickly because this was too fast.
Yeah, thank you, Chuka. Ndewono. Dika, I will come in a different way. Ikwu eziokwu dịka m si wee ghọta ndị Igbo na ihe anyị mere achieve after the war and before the war. To be honest, ndị Igbo, I think ure kwutere ya, anyị na-ekwu ihe what we achieved after the war. We forget who we are as a people, ihe ndị Igbo. Because the truth is, what we actually, the magic, the miracle of Igbo rising before the Civil War far outweighs whatever we achieved after the Civil War. Incidentally, Igbos do not really understand this. We kind of, on our I may achieve after the Civil War, effect of 20 pounds, blah, blah, blah. But actually, after the Civil War, it just came natural. It's about who we are. Actually, what we just applied ourselves as, it was effortless for Ndi, it was just who they were. Just like a bird, he threw a bird out of the cage, it will fly. Actually, the Igbo rising before the Civil War was actually more miraculous and frightening, and which is actually what led to the Civil War because of the way the Igbos basically took over Nigeria. So, to answer the question, exactly who we were as a people. We don't have time. Maybe another time we can explain the history about what made Ndi Igbo to be who we were. How do we do that? Firstly, I think the reason is all on at least my profile. There's a reason why the Igbo, they're fascinated about Ago, the animal called leopard. It's because it's adaptable. It hunts in the water, it hunts on the tree, it's on a and it only take its destiny in its hands. That's actually the Igbo man, right? He will go and build his own meeting. He will be heard as an individual. So when you look at that, then think about the historical reasons. One of the reasons actually that made us to be who we are is about geography. There's something called geographical determinism. Your geography actually, most people, however, whatever they are, we was talking about the Habo and the Athens and the Jews and so on. Your geography determines what you eventually become and your character formation, right? So historically, Ndi Igbo, we didn't have access to the coast. Paul Collier said that if you live in the coast, you serve the world. If you don't have access to the sea, you serve your neighbors. And that was actually happened to the Igbos for 400 years, right? So before the Atlantic Civil War, the Atlantic trade, there was the Trans-Sahara trade, which the Northerners and the Sadi Yoruba participated in. Because of our vegetation, the Arabs could not get to our place. We didn't participate in that trade. Then when the Portuguese and the Europeans came with the transatlantic trade, all our neighbors not at the coast were directly participated in the trade. We never traded with the outside world. We actually traded with our neighbors. And basically, they were the middlemen who sold our people onto slavery. So because I didn't have access to the coast, it was a natural barrier to importation. One of the things that it helped us was that it made us to be more, we didn't have access to trade. So it made us to be very hardworking in tilling the soil. That was one. The other thing that it helped the Igbo people to take on to craft and technology. Many people today trading. Actually, historically, Igbos were craftsmen. Orwaka. Iron smelting. In fact, the people who first started trading was the Igbo iron blacksmiths and ironsmiths who would go to different places. They went to Benin, they went to Galala, they went even up to the north. They were commissioned to do brass work, copper work. Then on their way back, they would buy some wares. So Igbos were actually, because of this landlocked position, not having access to the sea, it was a natural barrier to importation. So we became essentially self-reliant. So industriousness and Ibambo became valued. And there's a reason why the Igbo revered a crop like yam. Yam is a high yield crop, as you know, till today. It's not a high yield crop, but it requires so much hard work, attentiveness. You have to. That you breed yam the way you breed a child, or raise a yam the way. So Igbo valued hard work, but also handwork. I'll then explain to you why we use it to survive. So as at 1840, many people don't know that there are historical records, documents, showing that as at 1840, Igbo manufactured spoons, guns, knives, had started competing with European imports in places like Body. So to run short, by 1900, when the British instituted the colonial project, so as the point is that for 400 years, our neighbors traded with the outside world. We did not. And development has started even before, like in a place like the West, Yoruba land, schools have been by 1860, 1820 something. As I said the last time, the first secondary school in Alibo actually came about 1920 something. So I would late comers. So that by the time the British set up the colonial project, Lagos was a city. Kano had been a city for millennia. Port Harcourt, Bonny,
Calabar.
Hello?
Calabar.
Yeah, Calabar. Port Harcourt was later. Port Harcourt was on the basis of Enugu, Calabar. So all these places are Wola cities and rural cities. So when the colonial project started, as you know, the British managed to take colonial control of Igbo hinterlands in 1906, just recently. So by that time, Igbo, because of their individual nature, they then dispersed. So people nature know Igbo meanwhile, another point is that our neighbors considered us backward people. That is the truth. They even if you go to Ijoland, the Igbo can be as slaves and everything. So when the colonial project started, the Igbos dispersed all over Nigeria in search of, because of that, our individualistic nature. Every person wants to make it in life to be respected in the community. You want to be respected by what you contribute in community. So in the Igbo, it was good for them to move. Then the thing that helped them, most Igbos that dispersed to all cities in Nigeria started as craftsmen, bicycle repairer, tailoring. We were not traders. Go and ask your grandfathers or whatever that. Lagos, na Jos, na Kano in 1920, 1930. They came on a fringe of society. Maybe now bicycle repairer. From doing bicycle repair, he has a tube. The next person will ask him about that. Do you have a pump? The next day he will come to Onitsha and decide to buy pump. And that's how they became traders. Igbos were not originally traders. So we did this, and then coupled with all other our here, BK, supporting ourselves, and then as you know, at Chebe Roads, we had the dynamic. So religion now here hold right down. Traditional structure didn't hold us down. Every Igbo man because it was a changing time, a time of change, and because of our adaptability and the ability to take risk and leave our comfort zone and disperse to everywhere, that was what helped in the Igbo. Then within the people who were latecomers, when Lagos had been a city for nearly 100 years and all that, By 1955-60, the Igbos were the backbone of civil services, commerce, everything. That is what the problem. Like, for example, Madik Azikiwe, Lagos had operated. Zik only came to Lagos in 1937. 1937. There had been people in Lagos doing journalism, but by 10 years, by 1945, 46, 47, Azikiwe was the leading nationalist in terms of journalism, in terms of political activism. Ndị Igbo because of education, ndị Igbo atụ egwu as well. So we did all that and achieved all that we achieved in the military, in civil services, in trading, in wherever. So when the war started, it was easy for us to apply that our resilience. That's why the war actually lasted 2.5 years. Actually, the federal government scoped out that the war will not last 3 weeks. Do you not know that? It was here in Biafra war. It was actually what was ordered was a police action. It was meant to you were meant to run over them and crush them within 3 weeks. But the people applied their resilience until, of course, the war lasted 2.5 years, ended. So by the time the war ended, like I said, 20 pounds. The people had actually ignored 20 pounds. They started applying themselves immediately. So back to the point that I make, that Uri also made, is the fact that it wasn't about after the war. It was just who we were. We were custom made to rise from the ashes. That's actually what the Igbo man is. Chuka was conversation with that time, and I was saying to you that there is something about the Igbo man of rising from the ashes. It's just, in fact, for only my take unnecessary risk because you believe that I'll make it. So it wasn't anything different that we did after the war. We were just wired for, beating the odds. Other than that, why would the war have even lasted for 2.5 years? It wasn't going to last if not for that, our nature. So I'm sorry that I can't speak Igbo in Udinya. I need to speak English to be able to make philosophical and intellectual argument, which is a shame, but it is what it is. So that is, let me not hog the mic so much. Let's pass it round. Thank you. Back to you, Chuk.
I'm so proud of you, honestly. And I'm so proud of everybody here. They find a member no I would belly fell, but all the kind of men at Twitter, not free, not just at Twitter kind of. They find a member I belly fell. Can't say free. On a babu jumanya. Dialo so much, dialo in and quick way over obo. Can I move to Ogani Chris? Sir Chris, in one.
Thank you, Nam. One name, Mazi Ago ekelere gị ikwuchara ihe niile ka bie ya. Ihe ụfọdụ ndị m chọrọ ikwu ikwuele ekwe. But can add one or two things n'ime ya. O nwere ihe a na-akpọ nwanne dị na mba. Ọ nke a na-akpọbe n'itinye n'ime ya. Ihe nọ na nwanne dị na mba wụ ebe ọbụla ị hụrụ onye Igbo, ọ na-amata sị na ya nwere nwanne na mba. That is the moment you see a Igbo person got recognized ya wụrụ ya nyere ya aka mgbe o nwere ike inyere ya aka ịkwanyere ihe nyere gị. That is what keeps us going actually, and each and every one of us that are here now, each and every one of us listening, talking, there is one peculiar uniqueness in nwere that you may never know, and that is what made you Igbo man or Igbo woman. And this is what attracts attention to you everywhere you go. There is an aura you express that shows that you are Igbo, and they recognize you wherever you are. You can't hide it, and nobody can take that away from you, no matter what. I tell you a story. I'm wearing our Igbo Union here, and our motto, one the number. That means onye Igbo nwa, we make sure that nebul ozu ya because ozu onye Igbo ana-eli na number. We gather, contribute money, pay the flight, and bring the body. Send somebody to escort the dead body to the family. Hand the And that is what makes the Igbo. In the place I live is the only Igbo community that is functioning all over Africans that are here. We had a football club. We are playing in the league even. There was this guy from Congo. He came to us and said, we have our own football club, but we are not functioning. What is that makes you so thick that you can go far like that? What is it you are doing? I want to come and learn it, And that is it. There is this resilience, which my brother Agokuru, that pushes us. And we should return it. We should not forget it. And wherever you are, just start anyhow. And that is why I like Igbo spirit. You come anywhere, even if you have to work as a cleaner, you start working as a cleaner, but you have a target. In the evening, you go to your school. In the morning, you go to do your cleaning job. Before you know it, you are a manager somewhere else. Within the space of 4 years, you have taken over. And that is it. I the Kijire, what they call Ijire, when they come, they move in a group. And that is what keeps us going. And that I'm with this Republican spirit, you have to see it. You can come with any party, you win election in Igbo land. We don't even bloody care. We just want a good governance. We are not interested in this government thing. We do our thing. We build our roads. I remember how them Sam Bakwejiri run airport, in those days. And there is one industry in my village, the only functioning industry in my village at the moment. Sam Bakwe built it. We call it Alex. It's aluminium industry. They are even in the stock exchange in Nigeria. It still existing up to today, And the roads we build, our schools, everybody where people outside, and there is one thing we call Ndeno abroad. Ndeno abroad meaning when I'm in my village, when somebody, I come from Owerri, that is when somebody is in Aba, he's in abroad or in Lagos. That abroad doesn't necessarily mean you are in Europe or in America. You could also be in Kano, you are in abroad, or diaspora. You're not in Alibo. Even within Alibo, we still call you abroad. And there is this, spirit that pushes us, and we should keep it. Because come happen Ghana because I'm no. Thank you very much.
Halloween, Sir Chris. Ọ dị ka Dora jelo ozi ụtụ ụmụaka. Kedu onye ga-ekwu next? I think it's Arigosaki or Casey. Chibụzọ afọ gị mana achọrọ m ka ndị na-ekwubere okwu before kwugodo okwu. Batakwa ọzọ. Ka ya ime gị fa mechie okwu a na ndị bịara ịpụrụ ọzọ. So Arigosaki ngwa gaa n'iru. Gịnị bụ Arigosaki biko?
Nke m abụrụ much contribution, just a quick question. My question was to AA. Actually, water from his historical perspective, Actually, water this boy system, Ibundi would develop over time. What is the history behind that? Is it like what was it there before the Civil War actually, or was it like a natural response to the situation after the Civil War that ignited that arrangement? So that's my basic question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, Chuka, can I go?
Yeah, please, Ganil. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. They can go Tamshidi, and so much I've researched it. I think the boy system, the Boade, before Civil War, even before the colonialism, actually the British had yes, all the totally Igbo. Case in point is the blacks, iron smithing or metal smithing industry in parts of Igbo land, Oka, Nkwere, and even the arrow traders who held sway, as entrepreneurs in Igbo before the war. So let's take the Oka metal smithing people. And then we had a bonzo. And it was a very smart policy, guild, the metalsmithing guild. If you were a metalsmith, you didn't train your own child. If you've read the history and researched it. So you got another person's child. There were two reasons. One was the fact that they felt that to pamper the child, teach the trade very well, you need to be a bit tough, and you may not be that tough on your child. So that's the one reason. But the other second reason was that because there was incessant slave raid, and slave raid, that be a raid the people for slave trade those days. So the metal smithing people, they used to travel outside to go and do, and our commission had to do war, maybe places like Benin, Gala, Mbamini, and so on. So they didn't leave the house all the time. If you went on expedition this year, you will not go the next year. So because of that, to save the family and everything, if, for example, only Gala this year, or put this year, if your child wants, that means you travel with your child and unabu are exposed to risk at the same time, and no person will be at home to farm and look after the women. So because Unwozoge was your neighbor's child or your townsman's child, he is the person that will join you on the work expedition, then your own child would remain at home. So that's first to show that the Igbo has started this teacher apprenticeship on the Ozo scale. The same thing with the arrow traders, right? So the arrow and a bit of Indi neighbors, like in the Aberiban or Hofian, when this matrilineal kind of practice where people are attached to their daughter, their sisters, i.e. their nephews. So most of them who are those arrow traders used to have who were their support Hana trade. They used to be or if you have read a book like Omenoko, I don't know if people who read the book Omenoko, you see that Omenoko when his tradesmen, and that was way before the Civil War. Omenoko story was real life. So then coupled with the Onyagala one Nea spirit, then by the time Nigeria Colonial Project was established and we had access to the cities, Onyi Bogazie, maybe Obero Lokoja or Kano, he would then come and bring his brother to help him. Yane made this trade. Yes, it was 1 year. So it was something that was part of the Igbo here before the colonial times, and during the colonial time, before the Civil War, it was already before the Civil War. Most of in my village, like I made trading, right, building materials. My village called Abba in Wangele local government. Our people were already, and we're going many people bought a boy as one on the Chahe even whole on Lagos through this boy system. It was already there before the Civil War, and according to the research that I've done, it was there also even before the colonial times. So I managed to answer the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. Quickly, before I forget again, the second one I wanted to ask about, it appears. Sorry.
Biko, nke ajụ now, amakwam ka ga-esi ya because time adọrọzikwa, but gbuo ya na nkenke, then agụ ga-agbukwa ya na nkenke so that I move on to the remaining speakers.
Question on Choijo again from his own history on it appears that now pre-independence or post-independence, I don't know, Ndi Igbo the visible in the media sector of the economy, the media business. So what really happened? At what point did it appear that Ndeba fizzled out of that very business, that even today we appear not to be present, in that very sector?
By my own assessment, none of them can lose interest in media. I think the decline of Igbo activism and made in a media, again, my culture and things, my assessment all during shortly after this 1999. Yeah, this what we call democracy, right? Pre-independence, media. Azikiwe was by all standards, the biggest media mogul in Africa. He had interest in 13 media organizations around Africa, not only in Nigeria. Right, so he had about seven papers now his newspaper portfolio now in Nigeria alone, and about Tanzania, East Africa, and so on. Even as recently as Oge anime struggle for democracy, Oge Abacha, ndị Igbo amamdito n'Enugu ma Outlook nke atọnwa nkwa. So
yes, I know about it.
Concord newspaper, Concord newspaper of Iwanyanwu. Even before the Logan back, there was Statesman, there was when in media public. I don't know. I think immediately after this 1999, when we went into this so-called democracy, I think that's when we lost it, because during the democracies, Oge Abacha made the democracy struggle. Enugu was a center for political thought. There was a body about Eastern Mandates. I don't know people who remember Eastern Mandates. People the older love here to remember Eastern Mandates. Publication, printer, we're printing, producing. I think all recently, where we were into media, and that's what helped us, pre-independent, especially Zeke's newspaper and other newspapers in the Igbo run, not only in Zeke. So I think it's a recent thing that we lost that interest, and I don't know why. Back to you.
Okay. Without wasting time, can I move over to Casey? Casey, nwa mama, tinyela anyị ọnụ n'okwu a ka anyị wee chịkọnatawazie okwu a.
Daalụ Chuka. Ị na-anụ ọnụ m?
Gaa n'iru.
Okay. Ndị be anyị, ana m ekene unu. I just today was not a busy day. I wish that I was a part of this from the beginning, but since the Biden says better late, or Anna says better late than never. So, conversation now would know a very interesting one. The little unknown, very, very informative. I'm like history about our people. Maleba isi, in handy, helpline, whereby Nokita. So, very, very important conversation. A lot of the things people here, I totally agree with, because in Anya, historically, high face as a people, all part of Hemela in the Bible. The challenges I face, it molded and shaped us to who we are. So, actually, Anya, from a very psychological standpoint, most importantly, Cameron knows some of those things he shaped right to the success level I know now. Although I need there's much to do, but everybody know now, the very, very impressive, everybody see below, and the things I pass it through as a people. So as Igbos, success a lot of people know about it. It's been talked about, even internationally itself. As a matter of fact, even the anthropologists, they may go several studies. Okay, they look different. Okay, what is it? From a success perspective, can you make outliers? And for me, there were three things. And then there are these three things. I'm a phone know these things, collectively. Nandibo, and I feel know about the spirit I went in the success I know for. Number one, I went in achievement orientation. And in him being a bana, in na buy on your bana melofuma. And I reward one way or the other. They celebrate one way or the other. So our community, I did not very, very community oriented as a people. And I like Igbo not a part of so many social networks. To the Igbo person, average Igbo person, material prosperity the important. Takonoba, the very, very important. Wealth, gathering wealth, the very, very important. And most importantly, on a help our self-actualization as a people. It went some type of commitment to ourselves and our community goals as well. So all the not important, all the very, very liking to, in the Brazil and football. The Brazilians are known for football. They celebrate it, it's a part of them. So to us, all the not important, that, excelling spirit anyway. is in every Igbo person, broadly speaking. So I now value no individual achievement, upward mobility, on your banana climb, going higher in life and things like that. On here, most people now aspire to. But we have it, I believe, in a very, very different way compared to the other people. So that's it. That's one. And to even expand on that, in Anya, the way I need to people respect. On your jebambo, all this successful comes back. On the bed, in the bed, the person they reward the person, they celebrate the person, and when gathering on your open, there are celebrations like that. I didn't know very very prominent in our society. Titles like also all those titles are all based on status in a family, or based on merit and a good character. So the fact now I need celebrate the achievement on a help, because what it does, but then other people look forward to achieving those success themselves. And all very, very on a very basic level, you celebrate your success, you have more success. He celebrates your failure, then obviously you feel more failure. So that I think is huge, that achievement orientation anyway. Then quickly, the other one, Bo, individualism. Now, in Anya, basically, as a society, in NND, we're a group, we're kingsmen, kingship, and things like that. But I still believe when I did not very decentralized as society, because naturally I didn't believe in monarchs and things like that. So only Igbo, an average Igbo person who believe in personal achievement, who believe that's the way I can express my autonomy, man did not success for myself. So I know quite individualistic. We aim for it, we believe. Now, as a person, I can aim for what I want and achieve it myself without jeopardizing the people needing help. So along the way, we carry each other along. But each person then when no goal, a mission, yeah. Like, yes, I can do this myself, and they aim for it. So that's what I would say from an individual perspective. And in Kwanya, a couple of people believe the average Igbo man, ordinary Igbo man, he thinks that it's as valuable as the king.
Ewo, Casey Opwa. Okay. I want you to follow Chibueze, because Chibueze take 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. I get round up soon because time I Rosie.
Daalụ biko na nani fem na-ekwu
Yes,
ka
we can hear
ndị
you. I na nri na-ekuchi bụ eze. Ọ dị ka Trudeau analogo ka esi phone ya.
ndị ilo wee kwubasi eme this thing n'anyasị.
Hello, Nananum.
Yes, I na nri na-ekwu gawa n'iru.
Yeah.
Have you recovered your power?
Amaromi here, man. I feel I got kicked out. Amaromi here, man.
Yeah. So you recovered your power?
Yes.
Just round us up because.
Yeah, and so brother, without pushing further, I just want to conclude. So the last part, for me, the most important part, was our adaptability, and I think a few people mentioned it as well, because I need, based on how I face ago, the ability to adapt. If you have to be successful, you need to adapt. Overall story, overall no, Igbo people, we know how to adapt. Above Nigeria. In Anya, historically speaking, during the colonial era, as a people, I did more responsive to market institutions. I did more, responsive to embrace even Western education. Right? So some of those things help our ability to adapt, to learn a few things from here. Then within ourselves, okay, how can we even make that better? What can we achieve based on Iheni Motago? So that's a huge one for us as a people. We adapt so well. Our people, some of
Well, Casey, Hell.
Agwa mi around up okuru gaba ifuru ya lose power.
Abido cheka ka eziro complete.
O dey genti. Agwa mi just round up o dey genti for ife melo omego. So, kedu onye ofo Chibueze. Chibueze biko just pukanata there just 2 minutes biko.
Eji m abido cheka were abịa biko na onye apụkwana.
Abido cheka ka elukwa complete. Elukwa 100%.
Eji m ya n'aka were ekwu nke nkịta onye mee nkwari tin n'isi. Biko in conclusion, I so enjoyed AA's submission. AA Chineke gozie egwu. A lot of things mmụta n'abalị top notch. Onwe ihe Anambra First Son kwu, I believe I ekwuru okwu ọfụma ka ịghọta the implication and how they began to systemically, drive this agenda against the Igbo people. Mana onwere ifo maybe that indigenization mgbe afanyela 2020 kobo 2020 year afanyela. Towards that period, Kafabido Keliwe the properties that belong to Nigeria and started partitioning it to themselves. Buluno bina hane man, mana mahana watana atakara na ata ego nne. Biko kunye in this discussion, as well as we are discussing how we have come so far, kinda discuss what pertinent movement, pertinent steps I take it to advance ourselves. Fedeka kaji si boko nwa onu. We see okay, kai sponsor things because I could orobodo na emebu before. Orobodo na abia before mbegalaga fa achiko gwo na suku we ya no ona emu ofuma kai je ka ogo akwụkwọ obule ya galu ndị obodo anya akwụkwọ kai zipu ya Lagos kai tu ego kai zipu ya obodo Igbo je go akwụkwọ ohe ndị bai na emebo before. Monwe kai esi we chọta a forum ọtụtụ n'ime anyị n'ebe a bụ n'obi dịkwa njikere kwado ka na etinye investment on our people. I'm talking about human being now. Ịgafere ikpọ ite nwanne gị unu ndị nọ na mba ofesi nke ụkwa abroad ọkwa nke mba ofesi na ịnọ na Aba ndị Aba dịkwa good unu ndị nọ na mba ofesi mmadụ one ka unu si ebe ahụ were na-train wee na-imago improve their human capital development ọkwa the most important thing these days. Let's not sing our praise before and not leave our future out of the question and the equation. Lastly, ọ na-ewute m too much. Mgbegodilile egwu eze ọnụ ka ọ bụ ndị Hausa ma ndị Yoruba bụ ihe nwe this ideological attachment to the liberation of the Black Americans, that they will not be singing their praise every day and they will not be in the media shouting it every single now and then. This month we hope to say events like Igbo Landing, the very first, one of the first and the most powerful liberation movement that started this Black liberation movement in the US. When we talk down on it, we don't even talk about it at all. Umuaya Maria, 80% of our people, adults, are married themselves. So, plan is to move forward, to let our people know this thing. Plan to invest on our people, as a group. Because we finish this discussion, we feel good. Oh, we talked about how we are maltreated and all. How are we now going to advance? How do we bring ourselves in a quorum? I form this thing, from all walks of life. Because I can tell you,
I like solution oriented people. I like ndị na-achọ ka ga-esi wee mee ife. Ọ na-asọ kacha marụ. So ka isi wee bata na okwu ife akịta just to shake up things. I love it. Daalụ rinne. Adora, do you want to respond to that? Or...
Yes, please. I like what Moto equipped that thing. What I go? Because in that story on its own shows no resilience as in Igbo. What I go? That our spirit that is so unbreakable, Bona. Bam 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 bam. Come here enslave. Come na chim. What I go? Come kanje kulu chim. That thing is so strong. And honestly, imana kunye I met these spaces often and we've talked about who are we, That story tells a whole lot about who we are as Igbo. And honestly, we need to start teaching it to or young people ndị na-agbagote. Then Chibueze, that's ka ngwa gị nwanne m, anyị na-ekwukwa from time to time, anyị na-emekwa our best to educate. Kunye media efo kịta. Ma na ọta ka ị bịa solo anyị for the first time. So every year so know the handle. Go from time to time, anyị na-enwe ụdị spaces a ka ị bịakwa bịa help kwa anyị. Nyekwa anyị more insight into what you think. Bịa know everybody come into the fold. Tinye n'aka. The job is for every single one of us. But it's always good to know that no one no side abido something. Kija join for collaboration. The effort, everybody's effort is needed. So thank you so much, Chibueze, for your angle issue. I love it so much.
Nelo. Ibotik Nelo. Yeah, your last shot.
No, Casey, okay. But Casey cannot listen now. I'm on ephemeral network, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Nice discussion, Casey. And the thing is, I'm now, the last election, was a blessing in disguise because if we hear Melumbuna, a lot of our people, I think, Dacia Mba Ndozo, we got really comfortable. And then Ayana Badayana, a lot of people are allowed their hometown for years and now seeing security Ila village Agebugi or one thing. The mother just not to see Ebehano. But after that, after FMLN, at the last election, so many people Lara their village, for the first over 10 years, over 15 years. That's this last year. A lot of people are roll up. And you know what? Nobody kills them. And they found out that home was safe. It was a lot of these things, fine. There are some places where things are happening, but Odiro as bad as, it's been painted. In fact, I didn't want to say it, but my dad, Olara village for a long time, but all our village, away from a man, the man is go where and I henny Osinia down of the bozo, all our go village cannot do down. So it was a lot. It was a blessing in disguise, and again, I never, talking about our culture, our heritage, and how to get things moving. And so I'm very happy that we're doing this. And yeah, we're going to have more topics and more things to discuss, but especially I get need in Nebanya to na Libo, they all need to wake up and do what they need to do. I feel like for the longest time I have to go those people can make for factory. So a lot of them feel like mini gods, but it's about time I give Thank you. I use my mic.
Mbona come ebe Priscilla Je. Ke Priscilla, must come Priscilla Je. Na mara mo onye kwuru ife but somebody no kata no mbot one day about just like that. No boy. I move kwa. Onwe onye kwuru ihe umwe ka o si kwuo the no so bụrụkwa nke ndị mba bụrụkwa nke ndị na abroad. Just to one day about more like this, boy. I was like, "Can you do heavy because with the hand about I'm gonna serve on local Nigeria. Ebe no kebe na enwe
Ababiko bara.
Ebe na enwe local 24/7. Onye gwa gị na abụrụ abroad. Aba bụ the only place na Nigeria enwe local 24/7. It's not abroad. Gịnị bụ abroad? Kehu na akọda akọ ife.
Abanu na onkwala biko gbara m.
Just Hey, audio. Can respond to some things. Easy. Actually, if I name onwelo kaisi sphere. Like me, this I bang now. I bang on economy, and I decided to be with this foundation. maka ma na ikwu ife a ọ ga-aba na foundation anyị about ka anyị si eme business ka anyị si bido and all that, but I ga esizi ebe a wee banye gbazi other things. I ga-ekwu ife a ga-ekwu erigakwa anyị ekwukwa m nke a na-ekwu ekwu anyị ekwucha ife ndị mmadụ achọrọ ka anyị kwuo sef anyị ekwusi ya na this space mana economic I got dwell on in this month of May, and maybe abanyakwa na June continue the same thing. Enwe ike next week anyị ekwuo maka enwe ike bụrụ akụ ruo ụlọ nwekwa ike bụrụ nke ọzọ a kezi nke ọzọ a ndị mmadụ ada like ikwu nnukwu anyị kwuo ya nke ndị Naijiria ndị na-achị obodo anyị ndị jide obodo anyị ke ya agbụ ekwere ka anyị move on. Onwe ike bụrụ if I get discuss next week, all the very likely. Mana I ga-ekwu maka apprenticeship system as a topic. Ne ya anya ọfụma ka ebe obido ka ebe anyị mego ka ebe gasalụ ka a ga-edozi ka a ga-esi mee ka a ga-esi modify ya for the future, because everything nọ n'ụwa na change as time changes. I ga-touch ma cattle ranching. So I ga-ban economy. I ga-ekwu maka politics at some point. Ife na-abịa erika, if I ga-ekwu erika, and even suggestion if you like we see discuss, you can send us an email. Email in our bio. You can also go to our DM, send us any message. If you like we see me, if I be for, if I be for if I'm mad at my say, if I for, I name me cut for on. In cause of nke ikwu maka action. Eziokwu nke bụ eziokwu na anyị ekwubugo ife a before, but anyị sị ka anyị bidogodi with nkata anụ anyị na-akpa. Anyị mana one day somebody ga-ekwu ife anyị kwu. Ewolozia nwa ebido nke anwe. Nwezia no some kind of action community. Na-eme ife a ga-eme erika and ọ ga-adị organized because anyị bụ ndị ma ife. Ndị Igbo mụkwa na ife nnukwu. So anwụna ngwọ na nkwụ na-abịa. Can just answer these questions njụrụ a little bit. And add there to get the mother answer already. I've just touched two things. Nyela anya aka from the time I survived the war. Sikaije build a business sign. I engaged men in their 70s and 60s, and even my dad. And I also observed a lot of things. So even fully Erika. And I realized that, like Ago properly said, like this case, if we have necessity is the mother of invention. When you find yourself against the wall, you look within. You look within and search. Because every because they believe in every group of human beings in one. What they feel great about them. It's only about how much of it they have discovered. Thank God now you might discover on kind of we build wire. Man, I get move to phase 3 now. Generation I get measure phase 3 because when they came boy mego, then they post war men kefa. I want to go phase 3. But if melobuna, they are no buanyuzo. Something happened to them. It wasn't just loss of money. They had trauma. Many of them, I'm going to use this word carefully. Many people were damaged. That's why so many fathers were angry most of their life. Now, if you can land there with 505, you're more capable than more. Which you do. Because you win a woman. I'm not even away. It wasn't always like that. If they are aggressive or trauma, they didn't heal. Nothing like therapy was introduced after the war to take care of the men that suffered so much. When you watch your friends die in your hands, when you watch your family members die, when you go to war, if you see if he got fall like this, people like my dad and my uncles and a lot of people, they tell you half of the story. Because it will take them into a dark place. That is trauma. PTSD is real in these people's lives. I think this is one of the reasons why they haven't been able to fight politically. Because when things factually visit. So this is the effect. This is one of the effects of the 20 pounds effect. As in the civil war at the 20 pounds, this is one of the adverse effects in Botania. But then you put two things in your line. One of that is that I'm not on my enemy before because I do be but I realized that between 1970 and 1990, a lot of Igbo men embraced the culture of frugality. delayed gratification. Ifu onye ga-afụ onye kpatara ezigbo ego ọ na-anya Volkswagen Beetles or 504 mana onye a ji ego Mercedes. Nwunye ya ga-eyi George ili Hollandis na ụmụ ife ndị ụmụ akwadosi ọba nyanwa na onwe ya if you just dịkwa nnọọ ọgọ dịkwa oke mmadụ dị too much oyi sandals na-aga ọ na-ebu onwe ya ị mara na o ji ezigbo ego because ọ na-ene anya ife ọ chọrọ ịlụ erika o feel no need to save enough money because isi afịa dị more important and if abụrụ just ndị na-alụ ọlụ ndị na-azụ afịa ma ndị na-alụ ọlụ oyibo the people of that time they understood delayed gratification to a very extreme level as in ọdụrụ dị normal self ọdụrụ dị make any sense to ụmụaka because oge anyị bụ ụmụaka ọ make sense to us but that was one of the secrets. I remember the day I listened to Koskaris talk. I said that as at 1980 that he had made 1.5 million naira to 2 million naira between 80 and 81. At that time, naira had more value than dollars. This man went and bought a 504. 504 probably was about maybe 8,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 at that time. Guess what? It gets worse. He bought a second-hand 504. So we gave us 900 naira or 1,200 or 1.5. Only 1.2 million naira. You go down with the mother game more they found in our generation. This was the mindset. What was his reason? Was no need he go all the way houses in the street everyone shop here. He have vision here. Ocho build of more. Which why they go if I go get there. And one of no jego because on anya moto diochi. One of no jego. So you don't even see him coming. This was the secret in the Igbo use. One of the secrets in the Igbo use those days. You don't see them coming because they don't show off. They don't show what they have. What they are doing is collecting, buying up, capturing territories, building. One day you just wake up and realize that they will look everywhere. That was their plan. That was their method then. Had I been to that time. Frugality, delayed gratification, and as in moving in silence. They are all together. The second one, business integrity. Sometimes I don't know if I know and the buyer and Azuzafia somehow was guys Azuzafia and I will want them mad. If I have a qualified, they have a one day, bro. This is not who we were. The men that made money in 1970 to 1990 didn't do that. So the business, what they were doing was that their words were their bond. If I were original, you can take it to the bank and you will collect. It was real to the point that Taiwanese, Japanese, Italians, they bunye fafia on credit. Just imagine the money Jebula for 10 million naira. Okay, you can see 1 million naira. Jebula for 1 million naira. What if it 50,000? Ibunya for 1 million naira. Brunata and
from Obodo.
Yes. Not on the chabon newi or less ya fiaoni no bulukwe gaman. What about going on chat? We gale agenia. On your tennis the tinanya. Ubunyezea more. Ubulukanata again. Like Megidizia, a mayor sole distributor. That was how Ekene became a sole distributor of that Tihana or Brazil, that old boss. That's how he became the sole distributor. That's how many people became sole distributors in their business in those days. Integrity in business. It was serious. They can't play with it. I'm not going to because Kyle say I don't play with my integrity on my phone. Now, if I had Rosiketa,
which is why when he had boys ego.
Yes. And I believe in if I had a route to Nibo even before the war, but it was activated at a different dimension at that time. We had to, like I said, when you are pushed against the wall, you look within and search. And that was these were part of the elements that helped Igbos to rise. Because when a person is practicing these kind of things and the people around him are different, it singles him out. That was the reason why people come all the way from Côte d'Ivoire. That those days, Guinea, Benin, na be a graphic on it. Because how man I better can buy a motive natural. And then the buy no where maybe if I expand, what is it? Gabazia, Cameroon, Ghana, Togo, Guinea, name it, just what wafia. So if now one doesn't get out, okay, I see where we trace ourselves back to that foundation. Because if I make it out of each So this topic was about exploring our journey so far, looking at how far we've come, and then looking at how far we can still go. Man, how far we can still go, Buzi. Next time I get discussed, but I just thought I can add this. I could add this to if I go so far. Kind of so any tweet, about an odefa, it's in your key field, and I let this conversation continue. Or just at Twitter space, it has to keep moving, has to keep spreading everywhere, in the markets, in the schools, anywhere people are gathered, in the planes. Yes. As a kamkwo to aka obeba. Amorokwa mo onye ozo kwesi kwuo, nwere ozo onye ozo okay. So I get mechikwa now na anye kugo till 11. I'm very sorry that we have done the same thing we did last time. 3 hours 27 minutes. Kai. I gotta try and manage your time off. Maka we can go for less time. Man, I didn't show everybody in Eba will enjoy this space, and I want to appreciate everybody, especially our team, Adora, Honorable Adora, Ibotik Nelo, Priscilla, KC, and Mandi also Beleba Kwoku, Anambra First Son, Ago, Ago Kanna, where Ago, and Oga Chris, Kedonyo Zochino, Sochibweze. Onye nkozi melo trozafia onye obuna kwuru ure with the energy jaja onye obuna beleba kwuo kwa. I want to appreciate you. If email Erika Imarodi, if email Erika, you have planted a seed. This is the reason why we always record this space, so that we can keep it somewhere. People can go and listen to it. We can make references to it. But beyond that, we are always live streaming to Facebook and YouTube each time we're having this conversation. Not because I know what doesn't matter. No, I make sure I get reach to anybody. And it's going to go beyond that. One day you're going to click on a link and you'll find us on an online radio where people in the villages and the other places, Nemorego, social media, can just listen to you find out. But because Nkata gets spread, well, Oga everywhere. That's why we are going to be more from Maka. We're now here, Okwa no 2 akora no nketa. I na-eme fa every Saturday. Money show bụ maka ọdịmma ndị Igbo. And it's a conversation maka ndị Igbo, progressive Igbos. Ebe anyị na-abịa akpa nkata, share ideas, na-enesia ife na-eme, wepụtazie ife anyị ga-emenwu about it, find their solution, they're realistic. And I can enwe debate sometimes, but just onye ọbụla na-ekwu ife. Sometimes ụfọdụ ga-counter ife ndị ọzọ na-ekwu. Anyị ada akọ ọnụ, anyị ada eso okwu ebe a, udo na-achị ebe a, ịfụnanya na-achị ebe a, otu aka isi eme. And Chukwu nyela anyị aka, it will go into other things like again. Ife a ga-emekwa n'Erika, na ife ndị Igbo ga-emenwu Erika. Ka m rapụzie ya ebe a. Chukwu gozie onye ọbụla. A gaziela unu.
It's the Money Show. Maka ọdịmma ndị Igbo.